Mike, turn your games down.
Hi everyone, episode 224 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
Back again. It's Nate.
We also got Isaiah here.
Hey, I'm Brock. Nice to meet y'all.
It's just Adam. Just
Nobody cares
And
about
welcome
it.
back.
nobody cares.
He's
Welcome
the
to
zealot
first
of the
time.
group.
So we are here to talk about a game that I have been wanting to talk about for years, actually, on the show, and finally made myself do it. We are here to talk about Final Fantasy VIII, developed by Square, published by Square, and came out in, what year was 1999? All right, so a while ago.
Yeah.
They were still
Just a
Square
little
soft
bit.
at this point, right?
Yes, they were actually.
Okay.
I remember playing this back in the day, but I have not touched it since then. I mean, I've been meaning to go back to this game for a long time and just could not get myself to. But the
Whereas
remastered
it's-
version came out. That's what got me finally to do it.
Well, actually, I didn't jump back into this just because the podcast was coming up. I thought about it and I was like, I have beaten this game from start to finish so many times. I just kind of remembered it. But I mean, and I came off of it from FF7. That was my introduction into the series, as I think it was for a lot of people. And then this one came out and I remember hating it the first time I played it just because of, I don't know, the change of everything. But, you know, after, I don't know, the umpteenth time that I went through it, I was like, okay, I think I like this game. It only took me 15 playthroughs, but I think I like it.
Yeah, see, it's always been one of my favorite games. Like ever since it came out, not so much because of the game systems within it, because you know that can be hit or miss depending upon on who you are and what you like.
Yeah.
But like the story itself is what really drew me in the beginning, and then as I got to understand the game systems, it made me fall in love more.
Yeah, once you learn how to kind of manipulate the systems and get good with them, it does turn out to be a really good game.
It really does. It was
For all the
really
bitching and
well
moaning
done.
that I do about it, it's actually a good game.
It's just very complicated. That's the problem. It's
Yes.
too much different stuff, and the game doesn't do a really good job of explaining it to you until you, like, after you played enough, you understand it. Like, when I went into it this playthrough, I understood exactly how this game works, so I knew what I was doing. I knew what to expect. I know what but if you don't know that, this can be a very confusing game.
Absolutely. And one of the other things that made it just a home run for me when it first came out was the soundtrack. Like, you picture the sounds coming from Final Fantasy VII and then going into Final Fantasy VIII. Like, think about that contrast.
They even started it off with like one of the coolest Final Fantasy songs, like with that intro movie. Like,
Yes.
Yes, that
just
was an awesome movie.
insanely awesome.
The intro
I still
did leave
have
a lot
no
to be
idea
desired,
what
in my
they were
opinion.
singing, but I still sing it on my way to work sometimes.
The intro itself did leave a little bit to be desired, though, because like think about the intro of Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VII. Those intros made you really want to play the game.
Yeah,
And
they didn't
Final
have
Fantasy-
a cutscene.
Right.
And there was,
Final
yeah,
Fantasy
more
VIII's
integrated.
intro, though, was kind of lackluster in that respect, because it's like, okay, what am I watching?
It was kind of
You
a
know?
PowerPoint presentation.
Right. But the music, though, hands down, and the graphics at the time for being PlayStation 1, just
Oh, yeah, I mean,
hands
the
down fantastic.
The cutscenes are still fantastic, even in 2023. I'm like, this still looks good to know what they did.
Well, it's even better with the remastered.
Well, yeah, that's what I played. So I'm just,
Same
I have
here.
to kind of judge on that. But like, I mean, you can tell like the stuff that wasn't messed with. Like, you can tell the backgrounds.
Yeah, I finally
the first
finished
time-
the game last night on the remaster for the first time. Actually, I've been playing it since it came out, and I finally finished it last night.
For the first time I played it, I was just so happy that these aren't sprites. They're not blocky, weird arms and legs. They're just the
Yeah.
characters, the same way they look in battle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And like the battle transition screens weren't super annoying compared to like Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VII. Like it was a little more annoying on PS1 though because of the load times. That
Which
did
is
suck.
understandable. I mean, but at the
Yeah.
time, we didn't know any better. Like, oh wow, look at this! Like, this is, it's just now if you go back, you're like, because you
Oh yeah, having to run around the garden, just like
well, it's kind of-
4 or 5
it's kind of-
different sections of just the base, the ground level, running in that giant circle was an event. Like,
Oh yeah.
get a snack. This is going to take a minute.
Right.
Oh man, Ragnarok autopilot saved my life last night because I was in no condition to remember where stuff was.
I forgot that had an autopilot.
Can we all be in agreement that the Ragnarok is the coolest airship in all of Final Fantasy?
I
With the
love
best
that thing.
soundtrack.
I would just cruise that
Yes.
thing around for like an hour.
Oh, like the design is great, the music is great. Just
Getting the
autopilot.
ship was a pain.
Yes.
In late disc 3, I think it was. That sucked. Those
Mhm.
monsters you have to fight in sequential
Oh.
order.
Here's the thing. You can fight them in sequential order and do it all in 8 battles. Or you can kill 2 different ones 25 times total.
Really? I did never do that.
Yep.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's a failsafe just in case,
You can't.
somebody couldn't figure it
Colorblind.
out. Yep.
Just in case
So-
you keep getting rushed down anytime you enter a room and you're like,
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
And
God,
honestly-
I remember that first time doing that, I was so frustrated.
And for low level game runs, it's actually great to do it that way because they give 5 AP each and no experience.
It's also weird how this is the only Final Fantasy where you can do a low level run without
Right.
it's actually a better thing.
Right?
Which that's one of my issues with this game. I mean, it didn't bother me because I played the remastered, and in the remastered you have times 3 speed, and you also you can turn off encounters. You can also give yourself like a battle assist mode where you have full HP almost all the time, unless they do an attack big enough just to kill you, and you always have your limit break. So I played I played it first without it. Then once I broke and put it on, it was the end of that. So
Well, yeah. And like I've played the game so many times that like I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna play for the story at this point. So battle assist, let's go. Let's play a bunch of cards too. And times 3 helps out with the cards because otherwise that loading is a pain. So
Before I realized that the enemy levels scale with you, which I hate. I hate it when
Same.
any RPG does that. Because I would go out and think, okay, well, I'm gonna do some grinding. I'm gonna level up, and should be good for a little while. I hit that threshold where the enemies just insanely level with you, and then I got my ass kicked. Like, what the hell happened? And then I figured out, oh, they leveled. Okay, I see.
see, I do love that though, that they level with you because now it's less about grinding. It's more about skill and properly setting up.
The only thing I liked about it was the fact that when the enemies got higher levels, they would actually get new spells for you to draw
And new drops.
and new drop.
Yeah, because like for instance, when doing the Adamantoise farm for Squall's best weapon, because you can either mod the sacred card to get adamantine, or you can hit level 30, go to the beaches outside Timber, and kill an Adamantoise.
Same
not
with-
fun, by the way.
No, it's not. I think it was the 3rd Cypher fight. If he's a certain level, you can draw aura from him, and aura is the ultimate spell because you cast it and you're in limit break mode.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you have Lionheart or Dark Matter, which is it Quistis? I don't know. I'm gonna there's 100% chance I'm gonna mispronounce 33% of the names in this game.
Yeah, no, they are a little hard.
It's
They are a little hard,
it's
yeah.
Quitus that has the
If I
silent.
hear anybody utter the word Titus, I'll be fine.
I always have a hard
Yeah.
time with Quitisus or however you
Quistis.
I'm
Quitus.
making a joke, by the way. The S is not
Professor.
silent.
I can't pronounce it anyway. But I actually used her this time. I usually don't use her, but I actually
She's
she was
very
one of my team.
underrated.
She is.
I'm just
She
gonna
is very
remember
underrated.
this quiche for the remainder of the podcast.
Like my main team going throughout the game was and because I deviated from my norm, my main team going throughout the game was obviously Squall because you
don't have a
can't right, you don't have a choice. But then it was Selfie and Quistis because like normally my team is Squall, Renoa, and Irving, but I was like, let's change it up. So I went with Selfie and Quistis, and Quistis is actually very underrated.
She had some limit breaks that early game just dominated everything.
Absolutely.
But then you have to getting bad breath for what you get from a Malboro. Good luck. I
Well,
hate
battle
it.
assist it wasn't too bad to kill one, but
Well, so here's the thing. Even with battle assist, you still have to prep to face Malbros because
I did.
I did some Malbro farming once you have control of Ida for that little bit of time. And you still have to prep for it. But once your prep is all set, it doesn't matter if they bad breath her. You're gonna shred the Malbros and end up with 100 Malbro tentacles in the course of a half hour.
Well, that leads me into getting a ribbon in this game. Now, the ribbon
Oh.
protects you from all status effects, and I'm talking about the PS1 version. So back in the day,
Yeah.
Oh.
getting a ribbon. The first time I saw you needed a pocket station to get the ribbon to place the mini Chocobo game on the pocket station, I was like, well, I guess I'm never getting that.
Yeah. Well, and
I
then
forgot
it
about
wasn't
that.
made. It wasn't even really made any easier in the remaster because, like, they incorporated it all into Angelo search. So now you got to find a spot where you can pretty much just leave your PlayStation on for an entire week.
Yep, that's what I did last time I played through. I just set up Angelo search, came back a couple days later. Sweet, I got a ribbon.
There you go.
I didn't even know there were ribbons in this game.
Oh yeah. It's just you can't get them normally.
Well, there's also no accessories, so I didn't really think it would be in there.
Technically, accessories, they're there. They just work very differently. You have to junction them to your GF, like as where you junction the abilities, item, magic, GF, all that.
Yeah.
Right below it is where you can junction accessories. But just like
I did not
everything
know
in this
this.
game, yeah, if you don't have a GF equipped, you get nothing. You can attack, and that's it.
Right.
Oh, okay, it's under those things. Okay, so it's ability they can learn.
Accessory in this game.
Okay, yeah, that's odd.
I mean, I liked the way they did that because it really made the focus of the game on the GF as opposed to just, let's go hunt down items. Now you have to plan out who's getting what GF, what does this GF provide to this person,
Yeah, how do you disperse your upgrades evenly?
Yep.
That actually became
I like that.
my favorite parts of the game is like just planning what they learn next and whatnot and finding all the sweet items. Building a ridiculous like HP monster one for my main guy.
And it explained why I got him so early because I was coming off of this from FF7. So I remember getting the first two GFs from the computer terminal in the very beginning and going, holy crap, I already have summons? God, in 7 you didn't get summons till way late. Oh, the summon's useless. The summon, like I never use the summon part ever, even late game. I never use it.
Well, they get better as you use them more because of that compatibility rating, which I really like that they did that because it makes it quicker to summon and it makes it that way like you don't have as hard of a time boosting. The one thing and here's the thing though, one of the things a lot of people fail to realize is boosting is it's partially determined by your battle speed. So it encourages you to put on a slower battle speed to get the most out of boost.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Put it slowing down the battle speed. That makes sense, though.
Yep. High compatibility and slow battle speed. You can get Quetzalcoatl up to, like 150, 160 pretty easily, which makes him far more useful.
Well, and Eden's summon was like freaking 30 minutes long, so it was really easy to get her maxed out.
Right. You summon Eden. It's like, all right, Mom, I'm going to take a shower.
Turning on your auto fire.
Right.
I remember Shiva was actually pretty useful in the Ifrit fight.
Yes.
That was, I think, the one time I always use the GF ability just to have Shiva come out for Ifrit because, Blizzard helps, but Shiva just wrecks them.
Right.
Yeah, that's like it's Shiva and you're pretty much set.
If you're AP farming, XATM 092 just gets decimated by Quetzalcoatl, but like AP farming that early in the game, the only GFs you have are Shiva, Ifrit, Quetzalcoatl, and Siren at that point. So you're really just kind of doing a disservice by farming a ton of AP at that point. But like it wrecks Quetzalcoatl, it gets wrecked by Quetzalcoatl.
I think there's a way to draw or farm double and Thundara at that point, and I think a double Thundara does a little bit more damage than the GF.
Yeah, you really have to put effort in, but like. Again, that's because enemies scale with your level.
And those were spells that I loved in this game, double and triple. Like I remember when those first came out, I was like, okay, this is awesome. I don't have to cheese anything. There's no this is late game stuff.
Them so it wasn't the full animation every time like it was with Final Fantasy 7.
Oh, especially because triple meteor, that would have sucked.
That would have been long, yeah.
And you have to hop forward, cast it, run through the animation, hop back, hop forward, cast it, run through the animation, hop back.
Do your fancy hand jutsu signals, whatever the heck.
This is why I love ×3 speed. Just it made the game
absolutely.
so smoothly in this game. I was like, oh, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
I would not have beat this game in 20 hours without that. So.
Right.
I could not imagine. Like, I played this for the first time through on the remastered a few years ago, and drawing without 3 times speed, I would just... That has to be the worst experience, living through that with the PlayStation 1. Like,
yeah. Oh, it was rough.
Yeah.
I was there during the dark times. It was rough.
Getting to before you get to that first town after you beat Ifrit, you go to Balam. In between that, you kind of go run the beach, and you can draw, I believe it's fire and cure. And yeah, in the PS1 days, that would be an all-night thing. I just need to stock up 100 of each for all my characters.
Oh, see, I avoid doing that now anymore because it's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
Like grab like 30 of each at most, because if you grab 100, now you're just going to have to refine that much more as once you get your mid magic refined, which is until late game.
Yeah, that's around disc 2. You get
End of disc 2, yeah. Alexander.
But that's where the game really hooked me. And when you go to Balam and you start that mission, that attack on Dalet,
Yeah.
that cutscene, I was like, okay, I'm really digging this game now. That whole section was awesome. And then it bled. You didn't see this a lot, where it kind of bled the cutscene into gameplay perfectly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. The ship
Absolutely.
beached, and then you just kind of run off and, I'm playing now. Awesome.
See, now if they made that the opening catch, like if they made that section the opening catch as opposed to what we got, the PowerPoint presentation, way better hook into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Way better hook.
Kind of showing my age here, but I had the demo disc from Brave Sensor Musashi.
Oh my
And
god.
that was the intro to the game, was that animation where it started off with the sweet music, the little reflection of the moon and everything. That was dope. And then it started with the PowerPoint crap when you actually got the discs.
Right, and that's what hooked a lot of people was that demo on Brave Fencer Musashi.
I still have that.
Oh my
was
god,
the demo
that's
just
awesome.
the
That demo was
cutscene?
great.
No, you got to play that whole mission until you got chased down by the spider, and that was the end of it.
Which is still a great demo.
Yeah.
That is a
You
good
wouldn't
spot
get
to
that
demo.
now. Nowadays, that is $25.95.
Right? Right?
And that
Oh,
song,
and then
too.
after
That
the
was
spider for about 10 minutes, that's another $5.
Yeah. But I mean, it's kind of hard. So if you want to skip it, you can pay an extra $5.
Right.
That demo does a really good job of just kind of like getting you excited for this game, though. Like, I mean, what it's supposed to
Oh,
do,
yeah.
it does a great job with that.
Well, and that's one thing we miss nowadays, because like back in PlayStation and Nintendo 64 days, demos were the way to really market your game.
And then
Oh,
Beautiful
man.
Joe 2's demo came out and killed everybody's games.
Oh yeah.
Now, in that demo, did you play as the same characters as the game, Squall, Zell, and Cypher?
Yeah, you do.
I want to say yes.
You got to fight for that a little bit, and then you never get him again. So,
And then at the end of the game, you get to watch him fishing for some inexpensive.
Right.
yeah, I was confused on that part. I was like, why is he...
Well, I mean, I think honestly, like when we break down the ending, that's going to deserve a little bit more of a deep dive, because
Yeah, we can get there.
yeah, let's get to
I
the
still
ending
like the
before we
GF
dissect
system.
that.
I like how it's story-based, too, that, like, because
Yes.
it plays a part in the fact that by junctioning GFs to you, they're losing their memory.
Yeah.
And I like how that does end up playing a part. Like, all that stuff to me was very cool. And I think I really appreciated the story this time around, especially since I was able to play in times 3 speed and I didn't have to worry about anything. I really just enjoyed the story. Like, I'm like, this is really good.
Are you talking about the orphanage bit?
Yep.
There's that.
That's when it's
But-
kind of revealed.
That
Yeah,
made
that's when
me
it's revealed.
So angry when I first played, because like I don't know, I was super into like, oh, this is a military academy, like, you know, and they're like, oh, they're building up this army, like that's so cool because like pieces lasted for a long time, and then everybody kind of like realizes, well, it's not going to last forever. There's like Albania, you know, doing some shady shit down there, and then. Like, I was like, oh, so they're all just like random people who like meet and form this team. That's cool. And then they're like, no, we went to the same orphanage. We just don't remember anything.
But you're failing
I was
to
like,
remember a
this is
key
stupid.
point. You're failing to remember a key point. This is Final Fantasy, okay? Whatever's on the surface is not always what is there.
I feel like they just, I don't know, they just wanted to explain how they all got together. And I'm like, you don't have to though. Like, you know,
See,
they can
I kind of like
just
that
be
though.
people.
I kind
I
of
like
like
that
that though because it shows the sacrifice that you make by using GF,
But each
and that
Final
hits
Fantasy,
the point home.
every Final Fantasy has to have that one section where we just spend an hour talking. So if you've played through this game multiple times just for the story, you just got to sit there and hit X until you can get through this
Yep.
crap. I know.
Times 3
we all get to know
speed.
each other. Yeah, that's when this
Just
really came in
before-
handy.
Yeah,
Before, when you're talking to Laguna, and he's got to talk about the power of friendship.
yep. Dominic Toretto before Dominic Toretto.
Family.
Oh, the stuff with Laguna is still not my favorite.
I mean, the flashback sequences were great, present day Laguna, you could have toned him down about 3 pegs and it would have been fine.
I
first
didn't
time I
care
was
for
playing
him.
it, I got to that point where they switched to Laguna the first time, and I went, "What the hell happened to my game? Why are we doing this? Who
this
is
a
this
bug?
guy?"
It's weird when it happens. Like, oh, we're all tired on this train. Oh, and I'm like, what the fuck?
We all just got roofied. Let's play as the middle-aged guy.
That's accurate.
Battle music ever.
What kind of train is this?
Oh, and I love that, like, once they come out of it, they're all like, were we drugged? Like,
I had the
who
most
would
amazing
attack
dream.
Seed?
We had no idea what happened.
Right.
Let me tell you about this dream I had.
Yeah, I like that Selfie was just extra accepting of it. Like, yeah, this is okay. I've done MDMA before.
Right. I was just about to say that.
Oh, yeah, because she's less upset than they are about having a weird dream to have no control over. They are.
Right.
This is the least strange thing that's happened this week.
Amateurs.
Oh, hey, she did transfer from her other garden and came to Blam, so hey, who knows what she was up to?
Right.
She had to transfer.
Distributing drugs to the students is not allowed, Selfie. Out of here.
That or Travia was in on it, and she was the new hookup in Ballum.
Oh, that's why she was the garden festival director.
Yup.
It's all a big
pug.
drug front.
Think about it. It's always the ones planning the party that have the drug.
This is why fan theories exist, because they're usually right.
Right.
Selfie's like, take this and listen to Waltz for the Moon backwards. You're going to experience
Right. I mean,
It's just a Phoenix town. It's fine. It's just a Phoenix town.
right. And going back to the Dalit mission, nobody in their right mind that is not on drugs is going to jump off a cliff like that.
It was 15 or 20
I rest
feet.
my case.
So Laguna is the only one that wasn't on
15 or
drugs.
20 feet
'cause-
up that
Right.
Okay.
No, yeah, he was just extremely awkward on his own.
Yeah, he was the one. He in that second flashback, he didn't want to jump off the cliff after throwing Kiros and Warren off of it. He's like, "Ew, I don't know about that.
Right.
Like it hurt."
Well, that is kind of high up.
That was a funny scene. He just throws them off the cliff.
And then
Right.
he chickens out.
After their throats are cut,
I mean, I know they didn't have much of an option, but
bleeding out, better pitch them off a cliff too.
I also do like that the Timber Maniacs, as you find them, they manipulate the Laguna dream sequences. If you find the certain ones before the dream sequence takes place.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for Timber Maniacs 1, there's one in the train station, there's one in the Ballum Hotel. If you pick up the one in the train station, Laguna doesn't fall asleep when he's talking to Julie in the first one. He just keeps rambling on and on and on. Whereas if you pick up the one in the hotel, he falls asleep. If you don't pick up one at all, he just falls asleep.
That's cool.
You know, I think I remember like seeing that scene both ways now that I think about it.
Right.
Hmm.
And then there's one later on where when you guys are dealing with the Red Dragon, that'll determine whether or not Ward is there.
I was wondering why Ward wasn't there for me.
Yeah. So it's all reliant on the Timber Maniacs because like it triggers certain things. Which, I mean, Battle Assist makes that Red Dragon fight so much easier, but you
Oh,
know.
yeah, it was simple.
Oh God, yeah.
Which I wasn't complaining. I was like, okay, cool. I don't mind.
Oh, I was
Quick
complaining
TV.
after this playthrough when I got another Red Dragon card after I had just modded up the ones I had.
I actually
like-
skipped Triple Triad until the end of this game because I was worried that if I dived into it, I wouldn't beat this game in time.
Oh yeah.
I could spend the next 3 hours talking about that
Oh.
fucking card game.
Hands down, the best side game in any Final Fantasy at this point.
It starts off really fun, and then
And then you get random and you absolutely hate it.
well, you see, where it really started bothering me was when you come back to Ballum, and then you can play Zell's mom, and that's the first like S tier card you can get is Zell's
Yeah.
card from his mom. It takes her so long to play that damn card.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
I
she's
got
a
lucky
gambling
that
addict. Like she loses until finally she puts down the deed to her house.
Right.
I'm all in, and she finally plays that card, and then she beats you, and you got to start the whole thing over again.
And kind of going back to the random rule, there's documentation all over the internet to abolish rules and regions. And once you abolish random, it gets way better. Like my issue is when you have same and plus in the same game. I could deal with one, I cannot deal with both.
I didn't understand them.
I'll play a
Yeah.
game and I'm
a lot of cards that have A's all over the place, and it makes it real easy to mess them up.
Oh yeah. But yeah, like abolishing rules, like when I did this playthrough, the only area I didn't end up abolishing random in, because I forgot to do it in Disc 2 when you go to Galbadia Garden for the first time, was Trabia.
I mean, that's fine. You only need one card there.
Right. You only need, well, yes and no. If you're doing a power playthrough where you're modding cards in Disc 4 to try to take on Omega Weapon, you want that rule abolished, because you can mod a card, and then as long as you did the CC Club quest, all the CC Club members will hold whatever cards you don't have. And if and they all emulate a different region's rules at that point. Now, you can still abolish rules on Disc 4. It's just a pain in the ass.
I didn't abolish any rules, but I didn't play enough.
Right. Right. Whereas I completed the entire card collection in this playthrough.
That's impressive.
Got my yellow star.
I've only played enough to get the character card, because they modded into the best items. And I remember the last card game I would always play is Alone on the space station, because she had the Laguna card. That was the last one I needed to get the 10 Holy Wars, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And once I beat her, I was done. But she kicked my ass every time. I would think, okay, I played my last card. She's about to play her last card. It's 6-2. I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I think we're good. And then she plays her last card, and then same plus match break. And she like bitch slapped me across the table.
Yeah, she just reaches out the screen and just slap.
These are all mine, teehee.
Yeah. God.
On that space station on my first playthrough, after kind of shit starts going sideways, there's like an astronaut, and he was like laying face down, and I hit square, and he's like, "Hey, want to play some cards?" I was like, hell yeah.
Those are my favorite.
He's dying. Let's play some cards before I die. Come on, guys.
I mean, the amount of "do you want to play cards" memes on the internet, it's fantastic.
Oh, those memes were great.
Yeah. But I will say this, though. Like I said, it's hands down one of the best mini games in Final Fantasy, period. To the point where they brought it back into Final Fantasy 14 and expanded on it and made it better.
For how much people complain about it, I feel like it is a very good card game. It's fun.
Well, it's not Blitzball.
It's not Blitzball, and it's not Tetramaster.
Right.
Tetramaster's fine. It just takes a hell of a lot of understanding.
Tetramaster is rigged to destroy you, because you don't know what the numbers and letters on cards mean. And once you think you do, the game is like, nah, fam, we're changing it.
It's a close race between Chocobo Racing and Triple Triad for me.
Oh, I love Chocobo Racing. That was a lot of fun.
Oh my god, I love
Chocobo Racing is great, but the problem with it is that, in the grand scheme of things, it's too short compared to Triple Triad.
Yeah, Triple Triad can go
the top rank. Yeah, it's real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triple Triad could go the whole game. If you enjoyed it enough, you could play it. I mean, the entire game. You just play Triple Triad.
Exactly.
I should have, but I was just like, I'm addicted to Marvel Snap, and I'm like, yeah, I don't.
Oh, same here. I love that game. I love that game.
So I'm like, I've seen what a card game I need to beat this game. Hopefully, in 2 weeks for sure, but in a week I need to beat this game, and I'm like, I can't fuck around. I refrained from playing Triple Triad till the end of the game, and then on the Ragnarok, I played it a few times and got a few good cards, and then was just done.
Yeah, well, and it also had the way it's super simple to learn how to play. It's difficult to master because of all the rules and how they interact, but it's super simple to learn.
It's just a lot of fun too.
Right. Although, I really wish we would have had a more varied soundtrack, because hearing Shuffler Boogie for 300 times in a playthrough.
I like that song still.
It's a great song,
but not after the 500th time.
Right.
The mute button.
I still find myself whistling it while I'm doing some mindless task at work.
I do it when I'm shuffling cards.
I'm gonna start doing that when I start playing Magic.
I think what I'm going to do from now on, if I'm going at a poker night or something like that, before I deal, I'm just going to put a piece of paper that has a square button drawn on it, and somebody's got to hit that square button.
Just sit I want
to play cards?
Right, exactly.
The song I get stuck in my head from this game the most by far is Man with a Machine Gun. Laguna's battle theme.
Yes.
I find myself humming that to myself constantly.
I mean, Noboru Uematsu did an amazing job with the soundtrack overall.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so many memorable pieces in the soundtrack. And it's just I think this really, like, when you look at his body of work, he just gets better.
I'm a big weirdo, so the one that always gets stuck in my head is the Secession of Witches. Like,
Yes.
that is such a hauntingly beautiful song.
Oh, I
Where
love
was
it.
that? What was that one? Where was that played at?
I think you first hear it when Renoa is behind Adia at the assassination attempt.
Yep. Yes, that one
Yeah.
was very good.
Yeah, just that single key on the piano playing, like the single key strokes. Just
Music is so good. And that that scene where you have to do the assassination, that is a hell of a mission. Just like that. I forgot.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what a
That-
perfect
it's
way
so
to end that
cool.
disc.
Oh,
Yeah, that-
absolutely.
I love Irvine chickening out and Squall just losing his shit, and he's like, "We have to do this. Like, we don't
Right.
have a killer."
Shot.
Like,
But that
We're
shows you
alive.
the contrast of the two gardens and how they train. Like Galbadia was very militaristic and very like, okay, everybody has a job to play. Whereas Balam taught their soldiers, okay, you see the mission through, no matter what.
Like, you kill this bitch.
Right.
It was-
Right. You
Well,
take
and
that
that
goddamn
whole-
gun, you put a bullet between her goddamn eyes. If you miss, I deal with it. Whatever. Like,
and it's
That whole section was also really good about cutscenes bleeding into gameplay because
Yeah,
when you were
yes.
Squall and Irvine were running through the parade.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Granted, it was janky as hell because the way the ISO was set up, you couldn't run in a straight line. You had to zigzag.
Right.
For a game with no voice acting, though, like that whole like ramp up to where Squall jumps off the balcony is just so good. Like, you can really feel the tension in that scene. I love
Oh
it.
yeah, and
They had to
For
do
sure.
really well with their facial expressions in the cutscenes because the no audio.
Right. Well, and that was the important thing, and not even just the facial expressions in the cutscenes, the body language, like everywhere, you had to be on point with it, and they did a fantastic job.
I do got to say, in the remastered, they make their faces, everything looks so clean. Like the meme of, "You're the best looking guy here" with Squall. Like,
Right.
it actually worked.
It's not a big blurry mess. Like, all right.
Right.
I love that.
That's my
That shows you Renoa's standards are pretty low.
I still love Renault. I was like, when I started playing this again, I'm like, man, Renault is still one of my favorite characters for some reason.
And in battle, she's a fantastic character. Like to be honest, like everybody sleeps on her Angel Wing limit break, and
I've been
if you haven't, oh yeah, like because she'll cast Pain, she'll cast Meltdown, Meteor, Ultima, like everything. She casts everything with it, and
it is more useful. Like as far as uncontrollable limit breaks go, it is one of the more useful ones. I remember in
not
7, I
Vincent.
never used Vincent because with his limit breaks, he could cast earth spells on flying enemies.
Right.
And I'm like, screw this guy.
or fire spells on fire enemies and continue
Right.
to heal them while you
Right.
sit there and do nothing about it.
like
He's
for
just
all
playing 4D chess.
Yeah. Okay. You
Yeah,
brought up,
he's
I
like
have to make this
way
joke. So I was at a
I feel
diner
this-
on St. Patrick's Day, and I'm sitting there, I'm eating my corned beef, and I'm at some truck stop, and there's a guy behind me, and he's like, "Did you know that Trump's playing 4D chess when everyone else is playing checkers?" And I'm just like, are we political? Like, this isn't voting season. Like, what the fuck? And everyone just kind of look at him, and he just keeps going on, and I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, that's
Well,
what
that's
you
when
make me
you
think of.
should-
I'm like, first thing, I'm like, what the fuck, guy? Like, what the fuck? Like,
That's when you should have turned around
Yeah,
and
you
started
should
talking
ask
to him
if
about
he-
Vincent's limit
If he
breaks.
understood the term.
I don't think he did at all. He also told me that the military was going to revolt against the government and they were on side of Trump and Trump's the most intelligent man and all this. And I'm just like, first thing, no one asked you. Like, you're just sitting here eating your food by yourself. Somebody asked, how's your day? And then you start talking about, like, it's like, what the fuck?
I would have turned to him and been like, politics and corned beef don't mix, dude.
Like, I mean, I can handle it when it's political season. Like, with political season, there's voting, there's like things on TV, okay. But it's like, we're eating corned beef on St. Patrick's Day and voting season is next year. Like, what? Come on now.
Right.
Like, leave it alone. Save it for next year, buddy.
That does kind of bring me to one of my points that I really do like about the game is you do have that little bit of politics like finding its way in there when you return to Balam Garden after the failed assassination attempt.
Which I did like a lot more than the guy
that was
rooting my corned beef.
fantastic. Like it was fantastic because now you come back and you're expecting everything to be normal. It's like, what the hell is going on? What is this chaos? Oh, they're hunting down Sid. Got it.
That was also kind of interesting. Like, you know, when I remember when I first played this, how much of a surprise it is. All of a sudden you find out, like, oh yeah, there's this guy underneath that actually owns the place
Right.
that you never
Yeah,
seen before
Milan
that's hiding
is.
somewhere in the basement.
And Squall sums it up perfectly when you go down there and he just says, I don't know what the hell is going on.
Whatever.
Like, same.
Squall never knows what the hell's going on. Like, he's the
after effect of like them testing and playing through to find out how well everything meshes. And it was crunch time and they didn't know how to really kind of tweak it. So they're just like, well, we'll just have Squall say, I don't know what's going on.
If we can go back to
the
the
pissed off for some reason.
Right.
if we can go back to the assassination attempt, that scene where Adia kills the president, like in front of the crowd, and everyone is still just partying, is so
she
like
stabbed him through the chest with her hand. Like,
yeah. And
Selfie made some money that day.
and the crowd is like, woo! And I'm like, man, that's haunting. Like, that's scary.
and nobody cares. I mean, were they under a spell, or were they just like, fuck, we don't like him anyway? I don't know.
I would assume spell at this point because, like, you got to remember how powerful the sorceress is.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm going to assume spell because there's no way everybody would just be okay with the dude straight up getting murdered. You know, especially because especially if you elected him.
Because then she's just like calling the crowd, you idiots, look what I can do. Like,
Right.
you have this man and I murdered him and you guys are stupid and
Yeah,
you will
she did
praise me
kinda-
for this.
She
Like,
kind of
right.
roasted the crowd after she killed the president.
yeah.
Right.
Maybe
Like,
a bit
no
of
sane
conspiracy.
person is going to be okay with that unless they're giving out drugs.
Self.
Right.
I don't know. Bit of conspiracy theory here.
That is going to be a running theme.
Yes, it is.
But they were kind of set up to be like a Nazi-esque, military organization, weren't they, at the very start? And then she kills the president, and we hear basically nothing about them again. Maybe it wasn't a bad thing.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They did kind of come off as like the Shinra of that game to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
They're not ruining the government, but yes. Or not ruining the government, they're not ruining the earth, but they are, like, assholes.
They're the big military, and they're more oppressive than Balam, and even their uniforms kind of reminded me of Shinra soldiers.
Oh, big
Yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
But the only part about the assassination attempt that I wasn't a fan of was the whole section in the sewers. That felt like, I mean, we would go from like an
Oh, that was-
11 to a bit of a brick wall with those.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
wasn't,
that they could have left that part out and I would have been fine with it.
it
Just
wasn't
'cause,
bad
like,
if you turn off encounters, but yeah, it's annoying otherwise.
Yeah, that was on par with the propagators.
and I don't have a built-in way to really bypass that on that one. But yeah, it was the sewers is one of those sections you can kind of take it or leave it and that's how it is with most games, to be honest. Like if there's a section where you have to go down to the sewers, you can just turn your brain off, get through it, and you're not really missing much.
But when you're super excited to get to the squall part, it's like, okay, come on, please hurry up. I just want to get to the good stuff.
Right.
It's just kind of annoying that it's there. And it takes longer. Like, it's kind of a maze, too. Like, that I didn't like. I was like, this is
Yeah.
a lot of maze,
Yeah.
like, trying to get through.
Well, you also have to remember this
Like
game
the-
was made back in the day of strategy guides. So when you played it for the first time, you had a map.
Yeah, I had a strategy guide, too, for this game.
Yeah,
I
oh.
unfortunately don't have it anymore.
Yeah,
I think
me
I lost
either.
all my strategy guides during all my moves.
But like you had a strategy guide right in front of you, so you knew the layout, you knew exactly where you needed to go, what buttons you needed to press. Now it's like, oh, can I just get a direct path?
Well, I mean, you
Or the internet.
Google for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
It felt
At
really
least
out
it
of
was-
character for Quistis, whatever you call her. It felt out of character for her to jeopardize the whole mission because she was mean to Renoa.
that was out of
Oh,
character.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that just kind of are a bit shoehorned in there and just happen off screen and off stage left,
Right. Like that did kind of annoy me. Like you built Quistis up to be this very sound tactician, the responsible one, because she's in charge of training people. Like, and then for her to go and do that, like,
The first time she's in charge of a mission.
Yeah.
right.
I made her
Right.
feel bad.
You got 2 other teammates with you. Just leave them there. They can operate the gate
Right.
I mean, all it was
And they're
was
both
somebody
qualified
to
seed at this
press the
point.
button.
Yeah, you didn't have to take the whole crew to go say sorry to the drug
Right.
dealer.
It's
Or you
almost
can
like,
wait till after the mission.
yeah, it's almost like, I don't know, they were on drugs.
Well, they did have selfie with them.
Oh, that's why. Keish got dosed.
Right. Right.
She gets really sentimental when she's tripping.
She's one of those. Got it. She's not the fun one at the party.
And And then
Yeah, I'm really
this was-
hard on you guys. It's because I love you.
And then you got Chicken Wuss just shadow boxing in the corner.
The amount of time it took them to get back before the door locks on Renoa, because like it looks like she just left the door locked. Like, man, this guy had like a really long lock set on these doors. Like, all right, I'll come back in 10 minutes. The door will lock. Like, in case we have
it's like a Rube Goldberg machine just to lock the door.
Right.
He stands there and like, right, Noah, there's nobody in this room. Tick, 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 click.
And also, maybe you shouldn't lock the girl in a room that has a escape door that leads into the sewers that you must know because it's your mansion. So,
And she probably knows about it because that's her father.
she lives there. She lived there. Like, yeah, you think you wouldn't?
Knows about it.
Like, you are the head of the Galbadian military. You probably have a dungeon underneath. Okay, you probably have Ubermensch locked. Well, you probably have Ubermensch locked up down there already. Why not take her down there? You can't overpower your own daughter to secure her. Then what are you doing in charge of the military?
Barely, not very much.
Right.
Because you don't see him again after this either. Because after Edia takes over, he's kind of just gone.
Story-wise, you don't see him. He still stays in his mansion because that's who you win the Renoa card from.
Oh, okay.
He shows up in Fisherman's Horizon later, though.
No, that's Martine. He's the head of the.
That's right.
Garden.
Yep.
I like him because he's just all sad. He's like, I lost my garden.
Right, woe is me.
Yeah, right.
Look here, you want to play card? You get the Quetzalcoatl card, though. I know that.
No, he doesn't have it. Flo's wife has that.
Oh, okay. He has something, doesn't he? Doesn't he have some rare cards?
He's the one that you win the Ifrit card back from because you have to lose the Ifrit card to General Caraway, and then General Caraway will finally play the Renoa card once you lose Ifrit, and then once you lose the Ifrit card, Martine gets it from him.
And how
And
did
you have
you
to win it out of the
figure
pack.
that out without a guide? That's what I
Right.
understood.
Because, I mean, I don't give up rare card. I gave it one rare card, because I lost the game, and then it went, and I got an achievement. I'm like, that's nice. Reload.
Yeah, exactly. I save before every card game if I'm going to play something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like you got to save before every card game. Like, and the Queen of Cards side quest requires you to lose rare cards, and it's one of those like I completed it again on this playthrough. And when you abolish rules, it makes it a lot easier. The hardest part of that quest, honestly, is getting her to move back to Dalit, because you have to get her to move back to Dalit in order to really progress through the quest.
Yeah.
You got to beat her a few times or something, or?
No, you have to lose or win rare cards from her.
Oh, okay.
I feel like when they were thinking of quests like that, it was just them and the executives of Brady Games that made all the frickin' walkthroughs.
Strategy guides.
Just rubbing their hands together.
Like, how
Get
can we
rich
torture the
offers.
players and then make them spend money on our guide?
Big game guide.
Yep.
I mean, this is the time when you didn't really have internet as much, so you didn't have a choice.
Right. Back in the day when EV Games and GameStop gave you 10% off on the strategy guide if you bought them both together. Save yourself $1.80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the assassination scene that ended. That was when we got to see Cypher after the sorceress took him, and
Yeah.
it's like I'm her knight now. Rah! And
Yep, his romantic dream.
Yeah, he was shockingly easy. I'm like, your knight kind of sucks.
Yeah, he was always just kind of lackluster through the whole game.
Right.
He was the sorceress's Biggs.
Yeah,
And, like,
yeah.
I just kind of imagine every time Cypher gets beaten by Squall just kind of standing over him and just saying, "Get good."
Done. Stay down or get good.
Well, that's why he tortures them in prison, because after the failed, assassination attempt, you end up in prison, and he just tortures the hell out of you on the cross.
Yeah.
Shocks you. He's like, tell me what seed means. He's like, you work there too. Ah!
Right.
That was one of the coolest cutscenes. Was the raising of the prison. I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big screws just coming out of the desert.
I mean, when you think about it, it's an effective way to do it, though.
Yeah.
It really is. It's an effective way to do it because you can change your profile. You can stick everybody underground except for the 3 control pillars. You can't escape at that point.
So
can't
let me
finish
ask you:
outside.
after the prison, who did you take with you on there's a team split at that point. Selfie has to go to the missile base. Squall has to go to the garden. Who did you take with you at that point?
I always take
the girls with Irving just for comedic effect.
so I I don't really vary from this because it doesn't really matter from a power standpoint. So for storyline purposes, I always send Quistis, Selfie, and Zell to the missile base because they're the seeds. They're the ones that are supposed to get the job done.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? And then I kind of like the thought of Renault and Irving walking into Balam Garden, like after hearing like Selfie talk about it and how beautiful it is and how awesome it is, and it's just fucking chaos.
Yeah, this place is great. What the hell are they doing?
Right.
It's like somebody hit this place with a missile.
Right.
I take Rinoa and Zell with me all the time. As much as anytime I could use Rinoa and Zell, that was my party. I don't know why, to be honest with you. Like, I don't have an actual like good reason. It was just a team that I always used.
Fans of
I'm not
Disney,
This makes me not like Zell.
Yes, I'm not a fan of Zell's Limit Break. Like, I get why it's great, but like, because like it can pump out a lot of damage. I'm just not a fan of it.
It's great in the remastered. You just go in the menu and say auto, and it just does it itself.
Right.
Oh, well,
That's what I
I
did.
have to do that.
I turned on auto. I didn't do it once. Well, I did okay. I did it a couple times in the beginning, but I'm like, why am I doing this? And I put on auto. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, you can just use the battle thing.
You
and
know what I
just-
learned works a little bit better? Turn on Battle Assist and just use Dark Side.
I think I had Dark Side.
Diablos.
didn't
It's the one
know
that cuts your HP by 1/10 and then like does double damage. Just give that to Zell.
Huh.
Yeah,
Zell's,
just give that to Zell. You'll never use his Limit Break again.
Zell's a chicken wuss.
He is.
I love how
He is.
either Zell's way too sensitive or that one insult just cuts him to his soul.
Maybe that just means something so much more in that world.
Right. Right. That's like the super insult.
Like, did he just say that?
They keep calling him that too throughout the game all the
And
time.
he gets
Chicken
more and more pissed
Well,
off every
correct.
time.
Right. It's really Sepher that keeps calling him that.
Like, Zell, if you don't react to it so much, maybe he'll stop.
Right. Nobody taught this kid basic human psychology.
He's like, you said what? Let's go.
Right. He's always ready to throw down. And it's like, dude, that's a fight you're not going to win.
No.
Like,
I like Zell.
Even he understands how to, get through that.
I also like that his final weapon is Urgeist, which is the same name, not that Squaresoft game that came out
Oh,
around
God,
this
that
time.
game.
I was
That
so
game-
It's a fun game.
It's not terrible,
It's okay.
but it wouldn't have sold a single copy if it didn't have Cloud, Sephiroth, Tifa, Vincent.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
that was his biggest selling.
That's what sold the game. That is
100%.
definitely what sold the game.
And that's why I bought it.
Right.
Me too.
But I just thought that was cool to have that
Yeah.
difference. I didn't mind I should say I actually like the way you get the best weapon, that you have to go through like and find certain items and then find magazines, which is fine.
Well, you don't
I
need
did
the
like that.
magazines.
You don't need them?
No, you just got to have the required materials and it'll show up in the menu.
Oh, that's cool. Okay,
That's how you can
even
get
cooler.
Lionheart Disc 1.
Oh my god, I always thought you had to have the damn magazine.
No,
Me
no,
too.
you just gotta have the materials. That's how you get Lionheart Disc 1. Like if you needed the magazine, you couldn't do that. You wouldn't be able to get Lionheart
good
until
point.
disc.
Because you don't get it
disc 3.
till Estra, I think, right?
In the
You get it in
flashback.
the presidential palace.
Well, you
Okay.
can get it in Laguna's flashback when he's working for
Oh yeah,
Odin.
yeah, in Odin's laboratory.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mistake. But yeah, but that's how you break the game. Disc 1 is getting Squall Lionheart.
That's cool.
Yeah, because
Hell, I
nothing
don't
says
think-
broken, but nothing says broken by like triggering Renzakuken on Sepher during like at the parade scene, and then Lionheart pops out like, stop, he's already dead.
After the the team gets back to Balam, and that's when the Norg thing happens.
Yes.
Yep.
You have to go into you stop the missiles or whatever, and then you start flying, don't you? And then you go down and deal with Norg.
Yep.
And I always loved how Norg never mentioned, why the hell is my garden flying?
I mean,
This is okay
he
with
funded it. He probably knew that it could fly. He just wasn't going to divulge that information for free.
Yeah. He's the master of the garden. Why are you living in the basement? What is this? Why are you here?
All the cool kids live in the basement.
Have you seen what he looks like?
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you
But, like,
want to go to a military academy with a man with banana fingers?
There's a whole tribe of these people. Like, I mean,
Right.
I don't know.
Like,
Maybe they
maybe-
don't realize they exist. I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe
how
I'm
much
a
does he
bully,
weigh?
but I would be
He's
like,
not-
no.
How much does he weigh? He's not a good role model for your people that you're trying to keep fit and trim and ready to go.
Also,
He's
a good
like-
reason for him to stay in the basement, just logistics.
Right.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be funny if the
there's
garden flew away. If the garden flew away and then just left Norg in the pit. Like, shit, I forgot to connect my basement.
They're waving.
Can you go back to the basement after you
Yes.
fly away?
There's a draw point down there.
Okay.
You can
I
go
was
back
going to say, like, that
Norg's
would have been funnier if it wasn't. if it wasn't a thing. Oh, that whole cutscene.
And
You're
it also
trying to.
gives a little bit of exposition too, because when Ashumi dies, they leave a cocoon for them to be reborn.
Oh, maybe. I was about to say, I think it's really funny when Sid finds out, like, basically killed Norg. He's just like, oh well. He helped me
Right.
fund this thing.
I mean, I
Right.
guess I don't have to pay anymore.
I already got his money. It's okay.
Right, we can cross that off the monthly
Yeah.
expenses.
Right. I guess we can get you guys that raise you've been looking for, finally.
Right?
This guy never drew a dime.
He's like, now I'm going to tell you how to raise your seed rank for more money, now that I get it.
Oh, yeah, that
Oh.
whole level thing was just because we were flat busted.
Right. Oh, you killed Norg. A ranks for everyone.
We can afford it now. Yeah.
And now we can get more than
Where's Selfie?
cafeteria.
Party.
Only Zell's sad.
The only
Right.
thing that's kind of like that. I mean, I like it and I don't like it is how much you can get screwed in this game if you didn't know to draw GFs from certain bosses. Because they're gone if you don't draw them, right? Or can you get them?
No, you can get them in Disc 4 in Ultimisia's Castle based on, like, because each of the bosses in there will have a particular GF if you didn't draw it.
They have all the
Oh, okay.
GFs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I missed Carbuncle my first playthrough.
Yeah, because you wouldn't think they're on those iguana
The
things.
Iguans, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I got Eden. I drew it from Timac because I didn't know about the research facility, the deep sea.
Oh, I love that place.
I do too.
Oh, I have a joke with that one. So I went in there, I fought Ultimate Weapon, I drew Eden, I got the achievement, then I got killed, even with God mode on. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. And I just went and beat the game after that, but I got the achievement for it. So
There you go.
I was like, I'm done.
Oh, was that because Ultima has that light beam attack that one hits you?
Yeah, pretty much. And I didn't have, so I just died. I was like, oh well, I don't care enough.
I mean, Eden's got its uses, don't get me wrong, but like...
yeah, but
you
I
get it-
was powerful enough with cheating.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't need to-
Like, with Battle Assist, you're not really using GFs a whole lot.
I did it first, but that's because I was playing legit. And then when I got to that point, I didn't need to anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first time through, I tried to play as like close to the PS1 version as possible. Like I used ×3 to draw magic, so I was like, I'm not sitting here wasting years of my life to get 6 more cure. But at the final boss, she dispelled Squall's strength magic and then just annihilated him, and I was like, fuck this. Like on Battle Assist, because I was like,
Oh, yeah. Ultimisia's, like,
it's
she
like
cheats.
15-minute fight again. Like,
That's where like junctioning
Bullshit.
magic to your stats was really a double-edged sword. I mean,
Yeah.
it can make
Yeah.
you real powerful, but it can make you real vulnerable.
and she's the only boss in the game, as far as I know, that does that. And I was
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what a big fuck you to me.
Right.
Man.
Well, but again, that's one of the things that I love about the game is you have to kind of take that stuff into account. And like I mean, I'm pretty sure we're going to talk more about her castle later on, but like unsealing your abilities, including the ability to resurrect, was actually really cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, kind of getting back to
lore wise, it's cool.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise is for like, a player who you've just spent like 40, 50 hours playing a game, and then you get to the final area and you're just like slapped down like, no, get back.
right. Guess what? Only attack for you.
And spend more time playing, please.
You're not ready for this, chicken wuss.
But that's where Chicken Wuss like shines best, to be honest.
Oh, another scene that's like really epic
I
too,
let
which
my fist do my talking.
when you go to Galbadia Garden, that was a fucking epic scene.
Oh yeah.
That was on
Like when you
par
go there in
with
the attack mode,
assassination.
not when you when you
Attack
first
and
visit,
everything,
it's
yeah.
fine. But when you're fighting them, like you have the scene of them fighting together, it's like, God, that is epic.
It seems like the operation scene, so Dalit, the assassination, the attack on Galbadia Garden, those were some of the best scenes in the game. And if you gave me 40 hours of that, hands down, that's one of my favorite games of all time. I mean, Final Fantasy VIII still is one of my favorite games of all time, but like it moves it higher up on that list.
I mean, they knew exactly how to end each disc. The assassination in 1, the Galbadia attack scene in 2. I mean, it just kept you like wanting to keep going.
Oh, absolutely.
That scene with the motorcycles, I was distracted for a second, so maybe I missed it. If you guys discussed it,
I don't think we did.
No.
where they fucking like crash in through the windows, I was like clapping. I was like, "Let's go!" Like, yeah.
Right?
Epic still. I was like, this is
Man.
great.
And then like I love that scene where Squall and Renoa run across the front while everyone is battling in the background.
a missile
cool,
comes
like,
across your bow.
Yeah, like
Jesus
oh
Christ.
my god, that is so cool.
The only thing I didn't like about that whole sequence was when you had to hang on to that soldier in the jetpack and have a
Oh,
slap
yeah.
fight with
Oh,
him for a
yeah.
while.
Oh yeah.
I didn't
lost
like
that
it, but at the
every
same time, it had its cool moment to me. Like, it frustrated me. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was irritated, but at the same time, like, this is kind of cool that it's here. Because you have a couple fight scenes like that. You have one when you're in Blam Garden where you have a guy you have to, like, hit buttons. Or no, this is Blam Garden, I think, with the...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was, I was like, okay, it's just like, but it was still, it had its moments. I think there's one other time you do that. Oh, yeah, Ruby Dragon, you do the same thing.
Yep.
And then, just like the assassination scene, there's a bit of a stop when you get into Galbadia, and then you have to roam the halls, find these 3 key cards, and for some reason fight the hockey team while you're there.
Right. Sewers 2.0.
Right.
And you fight Cerberus.
Okay.
Yeah, that was worth it.
I like
if
how
they
there's a
put
giant dog just sitting there.
right. I mean, if they
mascot.
put something like that in the sewers and made it a little more worthwhile, it would have been way better. So, I mean, at least with Galbadia, you had the payoff of Cerberus.
But he was an optional fight. You didn't even have to fight him.
Yeah, I was about to say you can just like be like, okay,
Yeah, he was an
doggo.
optional fight, but still, there was
he
that
just
payoff
kinda
at least.
Wiggling
I just
there
figure he's
instead
the
of
school
starting.
mascot.
Right? That
And
makes
you
a lot of
capture him and
sense.
take him for your own.
Yeah.
Right? Big middle finger to Galbadia.
Now but his GF was incredibly useful. He would cast double and triple on everyone.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I really underutilized him my first couple playthroughs just because I didn't really mess around with a lot of that stuff. I just kind of brute force through every boss.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially if you're doing like a low level or a speed playthrough, and double and triple saves time.
Once you get Aura and Meltdown, you can just kind of spam. You can put everybody in their limit breaks, and you can obliterate everybody else's defenses, and you're ready to go. And you can do it in one move.
Yep. And Meltdown, like especially in my earlier days playing, it was a highly underutilized spell until I realized what it did.
Well,
And
you remember
then-
the guide wouldn't shut up about Meltdown.
Right.
After a certain point in the game, it said cast Melt. That was the first thing to do in every fight. Cast Meltdown.
Right. But like it's one of the best spells in the game.
That's
Like,
the
yeah, it's
spell
an
I
incredible
cast when
spell.
I go to work.
right.
You do work in retail, so I get it.
I mean, I work in security, so I'm in the same boat. Like you know,
Yeah,
The next
those-
time,
life casts Meltdown on Isaiah.
I
the next
fucked
time a
myself
customer
over.
freaks
with the
out, I'm
spell.
gonna be like, "Whoa, you're using Meltdown, bro! That's like one of the best spells. That's crazy. You got Aura too?
Yeah, tell that when they're upset about you don't have this. What the hell? What kind of store are you? Yeah, see how well that goes. When I used to work at a store, and I would have people freak out about price of the printing or something. I just wanted to say stupid shit sometimes. Like my favorite when they get upset about shipping, like international shipping is to France is $100. What the hell? And I want to be like, it's going like, what do you think this is going to be like? $10? Like, come on now.
It's flying
Right.
magically across an ocean.
Michael cast.
Yeah, it's not going by carrier pigeon.
It's like I never understood that. That was always make me, and they get mad. I'm like, you really think the guy standing in front of the counter has any control over the prices here? Like, come on now. I'm not that guy. You got to go find a boardroom with some guy sitting there smoking a pipe. That's the guy that will make that decision, not me.
It's Norg.
That'd be fucked up at the end of our
Holy
lives if we just like die and then we find out like, oh my god, all the CEOs are dorgs. Man.
Right?
There's a master
Oh.
Norg behind every corporation. Every dealer is selfie.
Right?
FF8 was assigned to try to tell us what kind of illusion we lived in.
Right, exactly.
It's not real. You guys didn't listen to us. You guys hated this Final Fantasy.
It's stripping
Katase's
away
like-
the Matrix.
Katase's like, oh yeah, Squall's not dead is not how he intended the game, but you are. You're in a perpetual living hell.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Like, I'm not a big fan of the whole Squall's dead theory.
Nor
Like,
am I.
Oh,
I don't
because-
like it.
like everybody's sitting here, oh, well, this happens. It's a Final Fantasy game. It's going to break the bounds of reality. Look at all the other installments before it. Like, get over it. Squall's not dead.
I don't think
I
he's dead
like
either.
it because like any good conspiracy, there's just enough evidence like to support it. So there's like, Squall is missing his face at the end of the game. There is all the fantastical stuff does happen after disc 1, and that's where like Squall kind of really becomes like a leader. But I also just don't really like the main story in this game.
Maybe
Oh, see, the main
I'm just
story's
like, please,
great.
anything
Is a theory
better
that
than-
Squall just kind of got like his head cut off in that first scene, and that's just is a fever dream afterwards?
Right.
Now, the only
Well,
fan
like-
theory that I really liked was the Renoa is Ultimisia theory.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one
Yes.
I really enjoy. I thought that made a lot of sense. Now, the devs have already come out and said this is not true, but I'm like, well, it's my own headcanon at this point because I like
Right.
It makes
It could
a
very
ton of
easily
sense
be.
though, because and I know Katase has said like that when Squall keeps seeing Renoa at the end, and she's like all blurry, and she keeps like repeating actions. That's like because she's his anchor or something lame like that. I like to think that like no, that's Ultimisia, man. Like that's just her taunting Squall the whole time.
Well, I mean,
Like,
she becomes a sorceress, and the whole thing about becoming a sorceress is you eventually go a little batshit crazy, like every other sorceress in the game we've seen so far.
Right.
And the GF makes her like she has this unnaturally long life, and the GF makes her forget all of her friends and comrades, and the only thing she has to remember them by is Squall's ring, Griever.
Yeah.
And that's why she wants to compress time so she can go back far enough to remember who she forgot as she goes more and more insane.
Right, and that's one of the reasons I love that theory because it gives credence to the big bad's plans, why they're enacting this plan.
And really, the only thing you have to accept is to accept the theory is that time in this universe is cyclical, and time being such a central element to the plot. Okay, that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and like I've always been a fan of that theory. The Squall is dead theory. If Squall was dead, Renoa would not be a sorceress. They'd just be able to be together.
Yeah.
And the dead theory that starts at the assassination, right? When Idiot throws the icicle through his chest.
because it's like everything Disc 2 onwards is like Squall's wish fulfillment, basically, of just like, oh, Renoa falls in love with me, and I find happiness, and I find meaning in life.
I think it's more people just not understanding because he's an ass and a girl like someone like that's not real.
Yeah.
Right.
They never really did clear up how exactly he lived the frigging icicle through his chest, did they?
Magic.
He just wakes
you
up.
do
and
have
goes,
magic spells in this world, and they like.
He's in his bed. He's okay.
Right, but like you also have to remember,
prison. So you have to imagine that Adia or the sorceress, like after she did that, she picked him up and healed him so that they could interrogate him.
Exactly. It's just about to go into that. Because, like, you got to remember, Ultimisia is the one in control of Edia at this point. Edia knows what seed is. Ultimisia doesn't.
And
so there has to be something with the sorceress with Ultimisia that she cannot pull from the memories of the sorceress she's inhabiting.
And if Renoa is Ultimisia, this is the first time she's met Squall as Edia. She's gonna go, hey, you look familiar. Let's keep you alive.
Right.
Good enough.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm kind of on board with this theory now that Renoa could be Ultimate. All right.
Yes, we converted him.
I never heard it before, actually. I heard the Squall is dead thing before, but I never heard this one.
Does it explain why Rinoa, if she is Ultimisia, why she loses her ability to use the letter C?
Time.
She was a big fan of Mortal Kombat.
Right.
She spent years of her life playing Mortal Kombat 2 and downhill from there.
Right, exactly. That's all it was.
That was just one of those weird Final Fantasy things that they just threw in there, and I'm like, what?
In no way explained.
One thing I also want to bring up.
She made a decree. Just let me get this out real quick. She made a decree in her time that the only C's allowed in all existence at that point are in her name.
And they're soft C's, goddamn.
Right.
When you go to
That's the whole
Tropia
goal.
Gardens, that's kind of a fucked up scene too. Like, because it got hit by the missile and everything. It's just like all these people are dead and stuff. Like, I'm like, this is a little dark here.
That's the huge emotional impact on the game. That's like because a good game needs to evoke all sorts of emotions, and this one hit that home run in that respect by evoking that sadness, that compassion by having you go and visit these ruins because you didn't do the job well enough in time.
A little bit of dark humor here, but I guess it really shows the age of the game back when, we would be shocked by a bunch of dead kids.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
Galbadia just fucking things up for everybody.
Yeah.
You've brought tourists to the other two gardens, and both times shit's been on fire.
Pretty much.
And Tropia is when you also find out about the whole orphanage thing, how everyone was at the orphanage, and Irving's the only one that remembers for some reason, because in their garden.
And Selfie has some memory of it because she hasn't been junctioning GF since she was like 8.
No,
The big reveal there was that Edia was the she was the mother of the
Right.
the leader of the orphanage. That was the big reveal.
And Sid's wife.
And Sid's wife, yes.
Yeah, he does. He leaves. Hey, you're gonna go assassinate my wife. That's the mission I'm sending you on. Oh wait, yeah, that's my wife.
Right. I mean, do you know how many husbands would kill to have a task force at their disposal to go kill their wives?
With justification.
Right. They just need the justification.
No, this is totally legal. Everything's on the level.
Right. Divorce would be more expensive.
All right, children, literal children, go kill her now.
Right.
It does always blow my mind. Like, I can never get used to the fact that Squall is 17.
Yeah, they should have made him older. I mean, just a few years older, I think.
I don't know, because like that's one of the main things I like about this game is that these are essentially child soldiers, and it digs into the morality of that a little bit with like how Squall is just kind of callous about everything, where they're just like, oh man, I had a good example and I lost it. But anytime he's basically just like, whatever, and they're like talking about doing a mission and they're like, that's kind of weird, isn't it? And he's like, whatever, we just have to do this mission and move on. Like,
right. Well, and that speaks to conditioning from a young age. Like, he was trained to follow orders.
Yeah,
like,
why are you guys putting personal thought into this?
Right. Like, look, this is the job I've been given. I'm going to go do it. That's what I've been told to do. It's all I know.
And then at one point, Renoa does call him out on it. She's like, come on, Squall, you're 17. Why are you so bitchy and cynical? She doesn't say those exact words, but...
And he's like, whatever.
Right.
I mean, he does fit a 17-year-old. So.
Right. He fits... He definitely fits that profile of a 17-year-old who's really kind of gone through that lifelong conditioning. And it takes so long for him to be able to think for himself.
I mean, it's something I don't really think about a whole lot, but they are child soldiers. I mean, they are trained to kill people at a young age when they probably shouldn't.
You do lose sight of that.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was weird is the fact that, like, I know it's time travel shenanigans, but, like, later on near the end of the game, you find out that a Squall that went back in time to tell Edea to start the garden, to kill the sorceress. And the sorceress that she gets her powers from is Altamechia, isn't it, then?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, because apparently when a sorceress dies, they can't die until they pass their powers on to somebody.
Wasn't it technically Adele?
No, they can't die in peace.
Right, yeah.
Like, because they locked Adele up on the moon, and then that's where Ultimecia is really trying to get to, the moon to get Adele's powers,
at any given point in the lore of the story, at any given point, there's only one sorceress in existence. Adele, up until Ultimecia passed her powers on to Edea, was that sorceress. So the only way that Edea could have been a sorceress was by having a sorceress pass on their powers from the future, which now creates that time loop of, Squall being raised to go kill the sorceress, fulfilling his mission, and then ending up back in time.
Wait, Edea isn't really a sorceress, though. She's just being...
Yeah, she is.
I thought she was just being possessed by Ultimecia. And then
kill Ultimecia, and she goes back in time, gives her power to Edea, and then Edea becomes a sorceress, so then in the future, Altamechia can possess her to release Adele.
Yeah.
And then Ultimecia loses that ability to channel herself into Edea at the end of Disc 2. They knock her out of, and so then in the whole objective of Ultimecia in Disc 3 is to possess Adele.
Yeah, but she's in
Renoa. She can possess Renoa.
Is
passed
out the whole time.
So that's why she's trying to get, because Adele's a very powerful sorceress.
Yes.
She's not dead. She's just locked up in space.
Can we say how fucked up what they were going to do to Renoa? They were going to do the same thing to Renoa.
He's like, are you cool with this? You okay if we just lock you up like this one?
We're going to put you in carbonite. You ready? I mean, essentially what it looks like is freeze him in carbonite.
Right. Make sure he gets back to Jabba the Hutt.
But you're not even dead. You're just going to, you're not going to be conscious, but hey, you might wake up 1,000 years from now and go, what the hell? Like, it's just the weirdest. I mean, I get it. Like, when her getting possessed is also pretty damn dark, and like everything goes along with that. And like, there were some cool parts of it. It's just strange.
The whole space scene it was good, but that's where things really started to go off the rails, and you had to pay really close attention to what was going on. I mean, okay, so there's a new sorceress now. Monsters are coming from the moon in like a really weird phallic thing that just shoots out into the earth.
Right.
And then it took me forever to figure out what the hell that ship was. Yeah.
Can we all be in agreement that the monsters gathering on the moon, that whole scene, was epic as hell?
It's epic, unnecessary, but epic.
Your S-Star just blow up the moon at that point, no more monsters. Yeah, the tides
are
up, but no more monsters.
What was the point of the lunatic Pandora when that happened?
To force the lunar cry. Because the lunar cry happens naturally, but the lunatic Pandora will force it.
And that's made by Ultimisia, right?
Well, they found it underground, and
it was made by the Centra.
The lunatic Pandora was supposed to contain it and mobilize it, was it not? And then
it was supposed to be mobilized as a weapon.
That makes sense.
That's why Lunatic Pandora was made. It forces the lunar cry into whatever point the Lunatic Pandora is at, thus swarming the area with monsters and overwhelming enemy forces.
The game did not do a great job of explaining all that. You had to kind of do a deep dive into the wikis and to figure out the backstory of that thing.
Yeah, instead
full page in the menu, but like you wouldn't know to just look there.
Right.
Instead,
but that's how all games are nowadays.
They were like the scene with Renoa and Squall while a love song plays behind them as they return back to Earth is going to be so good.
Yeah.
It'll make you forget everything that doesn't make sense.
Right. Everything's on fire. We're fine. We're fine here.
Because I know it's excavated by Esther, and then something with Delling gets a hold of it, or Galbadia gets a hold of it.
Yeah, Galbadia. Well, so Esther sank it after they after Laguna becomes president, they sink it, and then Galbadia re-excavates it in order to force the lunar cry in order to bring Adele's tomb down, or her containment.
Yeah, because she's up in space.
Down. Yeah.
Okay. And it never failed. Every time I played this game, my macho father would walk into the room as soon as Renoa sat on Squall's lap and that piano song started playing. And he was like, what in the hell are you playing?
How dare you see a woman showing affection to a man? What the fuck is this?
Shut up, Dad. Don't worry about it.
Right?
You don't understand. I had to push the arrows to make Renoa in the center screen. I'm connected.
That was a mess. If you ever screwed that up, and then have you ever actually lost her in space? It just
Oh
my god!
Does it have a different end scene?
All it does is say, and Renoa was lost forever.
And then Squall goes, "Whoops, whatever,
whatever."
Whatever.
That would be totally in Squall's character too, because that's how he would hide the pain.
Going to Esther for the first time, that's something else too.
Oh, that scene was great.
That place.
You just find it by accident and everything with it's there kind of, but you just find this shield generator around this desert. Here's this giant futuristic city just hidden here. That was epic.
Hey guys, I found the service entrance.
Right.
Damn city.
I was gonna say, doesn't it flicker when you're on that screen too? So
yes.
You're kind of I should go push X on that. Eddie Bozo
to get out there
I always like to walk to Esther when Renoa's unconscious and Squall's backpacking her. And you could, if you did certain animations, he would just stop holding on to her. So she's just holding on herself. She's faking it, obviously.
Yeah.
I know you're there.
Right.
He does walk a long way just carrying her though. Down a fucking highway, just start walking.
Well, and
honestly, down on the railroad tracks to have a little dialogue with her.
Right. No guardrails either.
Oh, you fall off, my mission's over. I don't have to worry about this anymore.
Right.
What if you heard a train coming at that? I mean, that's not a wide track. You're on a bridge.
Right.
Well, just do what Laguna did and just push her over the edge.
Yeah. A real Stand By Me situation happening here.
There should have been a scene with just Squall sprinting. Shit.
with Renoa on his back.
Yes.
Holding on by herself because she just doesn't want to walk.
Right, just hoping that the train's brakes work in time.
I remember coming out of Esther. I mean, I knew the city was big being in there, but then you come out and into the world map, and then you realize, holy crap, it's half of a continent.
Yeah.
That is. I know some people complain because it's so futuristic, and Final Fantasy is known for more fantasy, but I like the fact that 8 goes futuristic in this. I like it that you go to space. I like that they do things different than everything before it.
Yeah, right. It was a nice departure from the norm.
Yeah,
it really was. And it was kind of their first foray. Well, 6 and 7 were their first forays into the more futuristic fantasy, but 8 really kind of hit it home.
Well, 6 isn't futuristic.
I mean, it has some of it
for the steampunk, and then
there's that. But
futuristic.
And then 7 really embraced the steampunk aesthetic, and then 8 just went full on sci-fi futuristic, and then 9 rolls around, they take it back to medieval settings.
But
Yeah, complete
that,
with the Doctor Who unexplained plot changes.
I know, right? But like when it came to the S-Star section, I really liked that they kind of were like, okay, this is a potential reality of if a nation decides to just go isolationist, and they did it for their own, not for their own safety, but for the safety of the world.
Yeah.
So, because they had to advance technology really quickly in order to contain Adele.
Yeah, because Adele was in charge of it until Laguna shows up, and then eventually overthrow her, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we talk about the scene where he just kind of tricks her into the area?
Right.
I don't remember this.
Whoops.
Like, my first time seeing Adele, you got to remember this, like 1999 me. Mad TV was a huge thing. And I saw Adele, and right away, Miss Swan came to my mind. She looking like a man.
Well, that whole scene of Laguna shoving her into the thing, that's an optional scene.
Because I didn't see this.
Yeah, you don't normally... What is it you have to
Don't
do?
you have to talk to the doctor? Like, you have to exhaust all options, like the dialogue options.
I must have just done the same thing every time for that, though, because I have always gotten that. I just thought that was part of it.
Yeah, you have to ask Odin. He gives you the list of questions, or somebody gives you a list of questions, and it might be Laguna, and he says, "Why are you here?" And you select that option, and then he'll go in through the whole rigmarole of how they just shoved Adele into the carbonite.
Literally just shoved her.
Laguna just like bursting at the seams. He's like, "Ask me why I'm here. Why am I here? Ask me why I'm here."
I've never saw this before. I'm googling it. I found it on YouTube right now. But okay, that I did not know there's a whole that's how that he just put. Because I remember her being in charge, and I know that like Laguna kind of joins like a resistance group. I didn't realize that they just.
Yeah, the only reason that Laguna is president is because is president of S-Star is because he does push-ups.
The Moombas liked him.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Ragnarok is how they used to get her there.
Yep. 3 different.
This should not be optional.
No,
this
it was a great scene.
It really
Like,
was.
This makes more sense. I was like, how the hell do they know what the Ragnarok is? What the hell is the Ragnarok? Why is it here? And this little cutscene that I've never seen before puts all that into perspective.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It was a fantastic scene. Granted, it was a little asinine how they dealt with Adele as far as tricking her, like shove, like that's it. That's all it took. Just a quick little physical shove, and she's defeated.
Right. I was really kind of hoping it takes all the resistance members to force her, and they lose half of them in the battle, and
Just one dumb guy.
Kiros loses an arm, and Ward can still no longer talk.
Yeah. What if she sidestepped that shove? I mean, at that point, Laguna's
They're
like,
screwed.
Yeah. Oh shit. And that's it. The resistance is dead. The game's over.
Right.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense because, like, when you get there, Adel's just gone. Laguna's president, and they don't explain it. So, okay, that kind of upsets me that like this is an optional scene.
I think the first time I played the game, I did miss that, and then every other time I've beaten it, I do it every time because it's so important.
Right. But I mean, that's also the cardinal rule of Final Fantasy. Talk to everyone and exhaust all dialogue options.
Yeah.
But
that's really cool. I'm glad to see that. Also makes again that cues in everything of how they know what the the Ragnarok is. They know what everything is because of they use the I was always wondering why the hell is the Ragnarok just up here in space? Like what is this? But then when you see this cutscene, it makes sense. The Ragnarok was one of the 3 airships used to put Adele in space.
Yeah,
I don't understand why this isn't explained.
But I will say, like, one of my favorite parts when playing is going into Esther when you can actually control Edea for a bit. That is the perfect time. If you're ever doing a power playthrough, that is the perfect time to level your GFs. Like if you're trying to do a low level power playthrough, that's the perfect time because like you take Edea, put her in the party, kill off Squall and the other party member, and then you just farm with her. The GFs will still gain experience as long as they're junctioned onto the party member.
But that way, it doesn't matter her level because she's going to be leaving shortly anyway.
Right.
What's the effect that it has with having your party members dead? I'm sorry, I don't remember this.
So the party members won't gain experience. Edea will.
Oh,
the party members won't. Yeah. But the GFs will all still gain experience even if the party member is KO'd.
I'm sorry, I see what you mean. I just done runs.
That's also the best place to farm Marbro tentacles. Make sure you have status junction times status defense junction times 4 Edea junction confuse silent or silence doesn't matter junction confuse blind stone and there's one other.
Are you talking
two
about
are
are you talking about in that ice area, or when you after you get out of Esther?
right after you get out of the train station.
I didn't realize there were
Yeah, there's
Marlboros there.
Marlboros there.
Yeah, they're the
Not-
rare spawn, and you
Not
can
a common
force them.
encounter, but they're there.
Yeah, I'll tell you how to force them in a second. But if you junction the right status defenses, Edia can just sit there and go ham on them. So in order to force the Marlboro spawn, though, save your game, hard reset or soft reset, load back in. First encounter will be a Marlboro.
That's cool.
12 AP.
Now, is that like a glitch almost, or is
No.
this like a Hideo Kojima thing where you save your game and restart and then?
No, it resets the RNG seed.
Oh, okay,
So your first encounter
I
will
guess I've never
always
done
be a
that.
rare encounter in that area.
interesting.
Yeah,
I've never done that.
If you watch
Yeah.
a lot of speedruns, you'll hear a lot about RNG, like how they manipulate stuff. Like anytime people
Yep.
run an RPG, like something like this, there's so much RNG manipulation they do.
I find
Because
stuff
that's the
like
only way
that
you can do it.
fascinating. I've
RNG
just never
manipulation is
realized
the
it myself.
basis of rules abolishment.
Okay.
So
Because the only time I ever run into Marlboros is like if I run into them before super late game, I just run. I get the hell out of there. And then towards the end of disc 3, I'll take the Ragnarok and go to the islands closest to heaven and hell, because that's you can farm the best items and magic from those two
Mhm.
islands.
yeah,
Which I do like that those exist. I think it's really cool to have both those islands. I just wish this game
Oh, yeah.
didn't have enemies that, stack to your level, that level with you. That's my only issue with this game.
but again, that like going back to my earlier point, I like that because it forces more skill as opposed to just sheer overpowering.
I don't want that.
I don't have any skill.
That's what battle assist is for. Then
I mean, yes, I agree with you. In that case, it is good to have it because it makes you have to get good to stay good, like to
Mhm.
play, to care. You can't just do like when I play an RPG though, I just want to grind away where I can kill everyone's attack without having to worry about it because
for sure,
that's how I like RPGs. But no, I mean it's not a bad. Like, it doesn't make the game bad. Like
no, at all.
I had a great time playing this game, way more than I expected, and I was like, I'm so happy to find out this RPG. I mean, especially the remastered version holds up extremely well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And like again, you got to figure 1999, us middle school, high school, like not really understanding the junction system that well.
No,
Now-
if I remember correctly, we didn't like it back then.
I loved it
Everybody
back
hated
then.
Really? I remember
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people hated it.
I liked it. I just definitely underutilized it. I mainly saw that like, oh, I can junction a ton of stuff for massive HP. That's awesome, and that's kind of as far as it went.
Once I
I
realized
would
you
do
could
some
unlock
status stuff,
junction,
but,
once I realized you could unlock junction to different stats, that's when it really opened up for me, and then I realized, okay, this is the goal. I need to be able to junction to every single stat and get it as high as possible.
Yeah,
yeah, I just didn't have the attention for it when I was younger, but now I can just spend forever just setting my characters up. It's fun.
Well, and
Oh,
especially
yeah.
when you get those higher level spells like Ultima and Holy Meteor, you
Yeah.
get those spells, and you're like, okay, now I need to disperse this among my 3 characters.
right. Well, and then that's when you got to be smart about it. Okay, so like, yeah, you can junction Ultima to your magic stat and boost it really high, but now you can't use it. So now it's finding, okay, how can I manipulate this? How can I manipulate the junctions to give me the highest magic stat so I can use Meteor and Ultima on this character, making them more effective? Or you just cast Angel Wings with Renoa.
I still junction those higher level spells, even if they're at like 100, but I'll just like limit myself. Like I can't let it get below
Yeah,
75.
yeah. But that's where spells like Flare come in handy, because Flare's good as a junction, but it's not great as a junction. It's not Ultima, it's not Meteor.
That's right.
And
I
so-
screwed myself with that. I filled
Yeah.
up on all the early spells, and I didn't realize that there was a cap to how many spells you could hold. So like when I got late in the game, I couldn't draw Ultima and Flare, and I didn't know how to get rid of some of those spells.
Well, and that's one of the great things about the remaster. You just turn on ×3 speed, throw all those spells on a character, go back to an early area, turn on your battle assist, and just waste them. Like,
I was.
you know
without
how
it, I didn't
you know how
need to,
long
but-
it takes you to cast 300 floats? I do, because you need float for one fight.
Yep.
brother.
Like, yep, that's the only fight you need float for.
Oh, incidentally, my favorite music in the game is in the Tomb of the Unknown King.
Oh, great, love that music.
That piano run, I love that.
Or
That's a
walking
good side
into the
quest, too.
tomb. First time I went in there, I realized, okay, it's a maze, but it's not really. It's just they're just manipulating the camera angles. So just
Perspective, yeah.
keep going right. That's all you have to do. Just keep going right.
Yep.
Yeah, it really wasn't bad. I mean, I remember it being kind of like scary-ish, and I'm like, this is fine. And also with times 3 speed, like I know Isaiah had brought this up in the chat, like all the anything that's timed is like nothing. Like there was a part where you got to run across the trains way early in disc 1, and like, oh, you got to make sure they don't see you. I just put times 3 speed. I just run across when they even open the windows. I'm like, this is great.
Times
Who
3
needs to
speed
worry
was
about
made
this?
for this game.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Like
drawing magic is a pain in the ass otherwise.
It came in.
It wasn't bad with times 3 speed. I'm like,
No.
this made the game like the remaster makes this game completely playable and enjoyable, and you don't even really have to worry about the systems as much because you can just put on battle systems and mostly just get through it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you want to. Like I just was really happy with that.
Wasn't there an issue a while? I kind of remember this. There was an issue with porting this game because I guess Square had lost the original code.
They lost the original code. Yeah, all they had was the PS1 code. They didn't have the source.
So did they just rebuild it from the ground up?
They essentially emulate it now.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah. I mean, they already owned it.
Right.
I'm all right with it anyway, but yes.
Yeah.
Right. So when you look at how they had to do it, essentially they built an emulator into the game itself to emulate the PlayStation 1 version. Because they tried to build it new. They tried to build a new code from the PlayStation 1 code for the original PC release, and it did not do well.
That's cool though. They were able to. I mean, hey, they got it to work. That's what matters.
Yeah, they got it to work, but it did not work well. It worked like crap.
I mean, like the version that we got, like what they did.
Right. But so now they're essentially, from what I understand, they're just emulating the PS1 version on whatever system you're playing it on.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, which when you think about it, back in those days, there was not a lot of space, like compared to now, it's not a lot of space required to emulate the PS1.
Oh God, no.
Especially if you know the settings you need.
Yeah.
So
very small files compared to like you're looking like PS2 games and looking at PS3 and 360 games. Like, whoa, it's like 6-8 gigs sometimes. Like this is
right.
I mean, I had a PS2 emulator on my phone.
Yeah, I mean that's where we're at now. You can run that on a smartphone. Like it's great.
Oh, absolutely.
I just remember they did 7. They did a port of 7, and then they skipped 8 for a bit, went to 9, and I looked up and they said, "Oh, we lost the code."
Well, right.
Well,
Yeah, it's
happened with Pokemon.
I wouldn't know too much about that.
I believe it did, but that's a whole different thing.
At least they cleaned up. I mean, they cleaned up 8 well too. I mean, yes, the backgrounds are still, not, they're still PS1 style, but that's fine. But the characters that matter look good, and I thought that was. I mean, like it was enough for a good remaster. And I think it's released at what, $20 when it came out.
Yeah,
which is perfect for a remastered Nintendo.
And it sold a ton.
Here's that Nintendo, $20.
Right.
But
right. Well, and it's one of those things like the game, like especially when you get to the ending, has so many different interpretations on how things go. Like getting to Ultimisia's Castle, number 1, that is hands down my favorite area of the game. Because it gives you that traditional Final Fantasy experience of puzzles and bosses.
Yeah.
When you get to Ultimisia's Castle, there's a theme that they use right when you get up to the entrance, and it's just a little one note strike. And for some reason, I love that theme. It's not the main theme on the organ of her castle. It's just on the steps. I don't even remember what it was called, but they underutilized it. I can't remember what it is, but YouTube that. And there's like a little theme from the time you get to the orphanage. You cross that big chain bridge, and then you get up into the castle, and then the music changes. And it was the one time they played that theme. I loved it.
Right. Well, again, that's just hats off to Uematsu for just a stellar soundtrack on that.
Oh, why do you go in? One thing I can't remember. Why do you go in space in the first place?
To get a loan to try to help you with Renault.
Oh, because Renault's in the coma.
Yeah.
They shot Alone up there, so Ultimisia couldn't get to her.
Yeah, literally shot her up there. You saw the delivery device, right?
Yeah,
it's just a big
oversized 6-shooter.
That's what I was saying when we first started on that part. Like, when we talk about the giant revolver that fires you into space.
Yeah, like it's efficient.
I mean, like, yeah, we're gonna put you to sleep in a bit, like, like I'm like, okay, and like I'll like boom, just shoot you into space.
We're gonna shove you into a frigging howitzer and send you off into space.
Is that how they got him? That's not how they got him back down from the space station from those escape pods, is it?
No.
That would be great.
I just shoot him back into the earth.
Right.
I think they just float down essentially.
The doctor was really he really wanted Squall to get into the escape pod, and Squall just kept shooting the shit with Alone.
Right.
I think you can even play cards at that point.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
No, hey,
Yes,
that's how
you
we have
can. Everybody's running around crazy. Do you want to play cards?
Cards now?
I see you know some rules that are unfamiliar to me.
Randomness
Use
spread
my
throughout this
What's
region.
your region? The moon?
Yeah.
We're on the space station. We make our own rules. I give 3 free cards when you lose.
This is an Uno card. This doesn't even belong here.
Right.
Just draw
Like,
4. I get to draw 4 cards.
It's the last card of the game. They're playing the last card of the game. You're winning like 6-4, and they drop a reverse.
Damn it.
And Squall just casually mentions, "Yeah, you may have won, but I've been on the moon." So like,
Right.
But also, like, them going up to the moon is what causes all the issues because of that, Renoa then gets possessed by Ultimechia, leaves the station to go release Adele. Except at the same time, I feel like with Adele being pushed by the Lunar Cry, she would have ended up down there anywhere. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You don't need to go out in space to do it. Like, she could just wake up down there and they can just release her.
Yeah, but then there'd be no game.
I know. And like going out in space, I know that was some people's complaint because like you sacrifice yourself essentially. Like you're trying to save Renault, but at the same time you don't have a backup plan. You're like, if we go out here and I catch you, we're just gonna die together.
Yeah, they had no idea
Yeah,
that
but
Ragnarok was floating out there.
No.
Right. They had no idea, but that also speaks to what Squall is what lengths he's willing to go to for Renola. And so like that I think was an important scene in his character development.
Also, probably speaks to his age too, because I mean, he's just thinking about the now. Like,
Right.
who cares what happens afterwards?
Yeah, and that fits 17-year-old. I mean, that really does. You find a girl that you're interested in at this point. Like you meet someone, you're like, I'll go out in space and die with you.
Well,
Now,
it was a good.
Go out
it
into
was a
space, you're not going to have any oxygen. Well, I don't care, Dad.
Limp Biscuits did it all for the Nookie playing in the background.
Right.
I know,
that'd be
it's
great.
still a touching scene. And now that I know why Ragnarok is there, makes so much more sense. I was so confused. I'm like, what the fuck is Ragnarok? Like, what is this? And all because I never seen that one cutscene before where Laguna pushes her and you see Ragnarok take it up in space.
Yeah, otherwise, boy, that's a convenient spaceship.
Right.
That's what I thought. I'm like, why is this here
Convenient
randomly?
plot
I'm like,
device is convenient.
well, yeah, but that cutscene should really not be optional.
But let's talk about the odds. Let's talk about the odds of the Ragnarok even being in that
Yeah,
position.
still being there.
Right, in that
Yeah, either way, it's
position.
a miracle.
We
was
left
there.
it in perfect rotation so it wouldn't fall. No.
Well, that shit was straight up abandoned. Okay? Like, if you read all the documentation on there, which teaches you how to deal with the propagators, that place was abandoned. Like, it was abandoned. The propagators ended up on there somehow and were just murdering the crew. So, like, so again, going back to the odds of it being just in that spot, conveniently,
I'm fine
are
with the odds.
astronomical.
Never tell me the odds.
Hold on,
Right.
this alien life form infiltrated the ship, and the crew was just like, "We're still not going to fly back to Earth. Like, that's just stupid. Like,
We're going to write notes instead.
Right.
I like to think that the crew was actually like really, really, really strong and completely defeated the propagators, but they just couldn't figure out the order and just threw themselves out.
Until it was
Figure
too
out the
late.
puzzle.
Yeah, they didn't realize you could just kill them 25 times.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
They're
it's
just
color
screaming,
coded.
"Greg,
I
check
get
the
it.
Just
facts.
fix himself up
Greg,
in the
check
airline.
the game facts, please."
Right.
No, the Ragnarok is so cool, but I mean, I'm okay with the fact that it, yes, the odds aren't very good, but it's just the fact that now that I know like how it got up there, I'm okay with it. And you have to get your airship. Like, this is a much better airship than having Blam Garden is cool, but it's just so weird that you have a giant office building that can float and float across the sea and float above. I don't know. I like this so much
here's
better.
the other thing too, though. It falls in line with the traditional Final Fantasy system, where you would get a boat and then you would get the airship. And in this case, your boat can go on land.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, that is
So, because like
But there's got to be a beach.
Bronco
Only with a
part.
beach.
only with a beach, correct? But like,
thing
because
I
you think about, go
I
ahead.
never realized that the Ragnarok. See, I was same as Mike. The first time I played through this game, I had no idea how the Ragnarok got there. I didn't see that cutscene. And then towards the end of Disc 3, I remember being blown away when the Ragnarok attacked the lunatic Pandora and these giant arms just unfold. I was, holy shit, this thing's a transformer. My airship has arms. Because it showed that in that scene. You remember the arms grabbed Adele's capsule and then shot her up into space. But
And
if you never saw that, the first time you saw those arms come out was when it broke through the shields of the lunatic
And
Pandora.
the second arm unfolds in like the least, efficient way possible.
Like,
Yes.
like everything in its path.
And they were like, we don't need no doors. Fuck your doors.
That was a really good scene too, though. When the whole lunatic Pandora thing, but the very beginning of it attacking it, that was an amazing scene.
Just beating the piss out of Raijin and Fujin, though. Like,
Oh yeah,
gets
I was really
boring.
looking forward to that part too.
And how they're like, I don't even know why we're even still here anymore.
like we've already gotten our butts just handed to us like 3 times. So can we just be done now?
And then it came back to the Biggs and Wedge fight. You could fight them. It made you think you were going to fight them again, but then they just turn in their wrenches and go home. They just quit.
Yeah, we're gonna go get
Right.
drunk.
Like, and I wanted to know, where are you going? Like, you're on a floating ship. There's no other way other than my airship to get out of here. Where are you going?
Right.
They're just sitting in the chairs in the Ragnarok when you get back.
They're like, anywhere but here. We're not getting our asses kicked today.
right. We're done
We
with
quit.
this.
We'll join you.
Fuck this shit. I'm out.
This is above my pay grade.
Right.
And losing Rinoa too is kind of like, that fight when you finally get to Adele and like Rinoa is possessed by Adele and inside Adele. That was cool. That is still a very cool moment.
Mhm.
And you can't do group damage because if you kill her, the game's over.
Yeah. Oh, and right before this, after Adele gets brought down, that's when that's when they're gonna freeze Rinoa in the Carbonite, and you go and free her.
Yeah, but before Lunatic Pandora, because that's when they come up. Like after they were Squall refuses to let her get Han Soloed. That's when Laguna comes up with the plan to have have Ultimecia take over Rinoa and send Elone in the past, or have Elone send them in the past.
It's just still so weird.
Right.
Yeah, that's awful.
Only they had come up with that plan 5 minutes earlier, we could have skipped the whole containment scene.
Well, now you fight Cypher for the 3rd time right before the Adele fight. Did you happen to have Odin?
Yeah, always.
Yeah. Okay. Because that was always pretty wild to me. If you have Odin, who's a totally optional GF, he's not even he's just
not even
random when he summons, but he'll come out and attack Cypher, and Cypher just blitz him in 2, and then his sword goes flying up in the sky, and a hand catches it, and then midway through that fight, Gilgamesh just comes out and wrecks Cypher.
Oh yeah.
If you don't go to that little facility and do the Odin shit until like time compression, do you not actually get Odin?
You do.
No, you get Odin. You just get Gilgamesh.
I did that, but I never summoned him, and I did the Cypher fight, and I just whooped his ass with Squall.
You can't summon Odin; he just shows up randomly.
Right,
Okay,
but
so, I mean,
the only time he's hard coded to show up is the Cypher fight.
See, he didn't though.
That's
Is it possible? Is it possible to beat Cypher before that point in the battle? Because it gives you a few moves before he shows up, doesn't it? He shows up right in the beginning.
Yeah, right in the beginning.
Yeah, that is odd.
Yeah, I rev-zoed him twice and he was done.
You must not have had Odin then properly, because he shows up right away in the beginning. And I remember seeing that for the first time, because one of my rules is I would not look at strategy guides for boss fights until I struggle with it. And I see Odin right away. I'm like, oh, that's kind of sweet. What? Not Odin.
And
yeah,
honestly,
I don't know. I went through the whole facility. I did the fight and everything, and he said that I could summon his power or whatever, or he would join whatever the hell it is, and nothing happened. I just beat the hell out of
That's weird.
Cypher.
That is weird. And I would always get Odin after a few playthroughs. I would get Odin after Cypher because I hated Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
This is also the first game to have Gilgamesh since 5. And
Yeah,
for us Americans, this would have been the first time we see Gilgamesh, because we didn't get 5. Well, we get 5.
No, Gilgamesh was in 6, but
not
he
so the
wasn't.
GBA version.
Yeah, it wasn't the proper version, because the only time you would really deal with him was in the Colosseum.
Oh, yeah, he's in the... Okay, yeah, and then in the GBA version, he becomes an actual summon. Okay, yeah. I forgot he's in the column.
Yep.
And he's not in 7, I don't think, at all, right?
I don't believe so.
I haven't played 7 since high school, so it's been a long fucking time.
I think the only thing with Odin was every once in a while you got the one effect where he just wrecked everybody instead of the Gunge Lance.
Yeah. I got Odin a lot in this game. Like a lot. I was surprised how much Odin showed up in this game.
This is the first time I've done the quest.
That's cool, though. I mean, I liked it. I'm glad it's there. I did the stupid Tomberry shit. That was annoying.
Oh, God.
Oh, I love that.
Tomberry
is another good way to farm
Tomberries.
AP. Tomberries are another good way to farm AP because they don't give experience. It's only
yeah, they're
1
great,
AP
but-
each, but
20 of them was annoying.
It gets
25
old
of them. Like
after a while.
I mean, I had God mode on,
absolutely.
so it didn't matter as much. Like they couldn't. I mean, I was able to kill them fast enough and not worry about their counters because their counters are deadly otherwise.
And then how many? You had to kill a bunch of cactuar to get.
Yep, you got to kill a bunch of cactuar too
the
to get
giant
jumbo cactuar.
Yeah.
So for some reason, I didn't have to kill a ton of cactuar in this one.
Oh, he just popped.
Yeah, he just popped by running into the big cactuar.
That's another
Okay.
one I've never done.
I went and got everyone but Eden. I mean, I got the achievement for Eden, but I got everybody but Eden in this playthrough.
Okay.
I was going for Eden, but at that point, I died, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm done. I'm just gonna go beat the game."
By the point you get Eden, I mean it's a good GF, but there's not a lot of useful, unique abilities that Eden has that
Right.
you didn't already get,
I
except
think that's kind of
Devour.
the point,
I think
though. I
she's
mean-
the only GF with Devour.
Yep,
you
which
don't-
is one of the main ways you can raise stats in the late game.
Right.
Because you don't get them to the end of the. I mean, you can't even go there till after the time compression, and even then, the time compression part kind of.
No, you can go there before time compression. You
Oh,
can
you
go
can?
there as soon as you get Ragnarok.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah.
The part that screwed me up with the time compression that I wouldn't have like. I had to look up a video to figure it out. Like after you do the time compression happens, and you can then go back. You enter a portal, and you're not even near where your Ragnarok is. You have to get a Chocobo and ride your Chocobo to get to where the Ragnarok is.
Oh,
Besides
that
it.
was such a massive pain.
Yes.
At that point, I think I just do all my exploration before disc 4. I do everything I need to do because really there's nothing locked at that point.
No, but stuff does lock. Like that kind of surprised me a lot. There's stuff that locks after you do that.
No, once you get into disc 4, yeah, all the towns
it locks
lock
stuff.
and-
Like all the towns
yeah.
are locked up. Like I was gonna do some more side quests, but I locked them all by accident. I'm like, well, I guess I'm done with that then.
Right.
And I was only
I can't-
missing one stupid Timber Maniac, and I was just gonna, and I would have read it had I never went to doll it because I was like, well, I just wasn't looking at the side quests yet because I always wait to the end of the game, then I do all the side quests.
That's
No,
like the
no, I
only
can't
reason to
find-
sleep in inns is
Yeah.
the Timber Maniacs.
Once the towns lock, you can't find Poo Poo the alien. I think his name's Poo Poo.
Oh, he gets locked. He was locked too then.
I can't remember. I've done that.
No, he's
quest
not locked.
once. He's
Okay.
not.
But it's just stupid. I mean, I've done it before. I didn't do it this playthrough because I didn't care. But like, it was
I
kind of.
did it
I
to
was
get all
kind
the
of
cards.
because I was only missing one Timber Maniac in the one in Dalit, and I would have got the achievement that I don't even care about. But so I was like, oh well.
Well, the way
The
I
only
always-
achievement I didn't get on this run was Omega, and that's because I didn't want to put in the effort.
Because I'm assuming Omega's even hard with the battle assist mode, then correct?
Oh yeah. Well, because the first move he opens, you get like 2 moves, and then he uses level 5 death. So if you're level 100, that's a wipe.
Oh, and you're going to be level 100 pretty much no matter what. So.
Yep.
Well,
So-
if you junction death on your status defense, it won't kill you.
Yeah, I know that. Like I
But
said, I
then-
didn't want to put in the work.
Yeah,
Well,
but
do
then
Heroes
he
and
uses
Holy Wars protect from
Megiddo Flame.
Holy Wars will protect from it, but you got to farm quite a few because it's a long fight.
that? So
Yeah.
the way that I would always do it, the only items I absolutely had to have to beat Omega, the 10 Holy Wars you get from the Laguna card, the 100 Heroes you get from the Gilgamesh card, 100 Aura Stones, and Lionheart. If I had those items, I could decimate Omega. It might.
Well,
take
you don't
a
even
while.
need the Aura Stones anymore.
Yeah, because battle assist.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I wasn't trying to use Battle Assist or in the
Oh, yeah.
PS1 days,
Yeah.
if I
Like,
could
I-
have those 4 items, then I was good to go.
Yeah, I beat him in the PS1 days, and it was not easy.
No, the
'Cause,
first
like,
time I
you-
fought him, he kicked my ass.
Oh, yeah. Well-
that Megiddo flame. Oh,
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. Like, Omega in and of himself is brutal. But that's why I was like, you know what? I'm fine not having that achievement. I'll probably go back and beat him, like, whoop his ass at some point. Because, again, there's a lot of prep that you can do on Disc 4, even if you're level 100, because the CC Club members, as long as you completed that quest, will be on the Ragnarok. You can refine your cards, win them back, refine them again.
and there were only a certain amount of cards that I really wanted. Like I said, the Laguna, Gilgamesh, the Bahamut card was extremely useful for the 100 Mega Elixirs.
Oh, yeah.
By the end of the
That's
game,
cool.
I could not even use that many Mega Elixirs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like I said, one of my goals this playthrough was all the cards, and got that. So,
Hey, you did it. I mean,
yeah,
I wanted to mess with cards. I was just so worried that I would get suckered into it, and that would lengthen my gameplay time, and I might not, I wouldn't be caught up.
It does
Oh.
it does suck you in.
Oh, I'd
Because-
it really does.
Like I said, Marvel Snap has me
Right,
like
yeah.
every month. They get my $10, and I'm in. Like, yeah,
That's
on.
how I am. Yep.
So I'm
Shut
not
up and
willing
take my
to
money.
go down that road with this game. I had to get it done.
No.
That's the
But
one
yeah,
good thing I can say about Tetramaster. I didn't give a shit about it because there was
Oh, yeah.
essentially no reward.
Right. Whereas Triple Triad, you had payoff.
Yeah.
You get a lot of payoff for Triple Triad. So that, I mean,
a lot of payoff.
No, I didn't even fight all the bosses in Ultimechia Castle either. I only fought a few because I didn't need a whole lot unlocked, and I was like, and I just went and beat the game.
I did number 1 just to do it, but number 2, this was the second time I ever played Final Fantasy VIII and beat it. Well, I should say attempted to beat it, because I didn't defeat all the bosses in her castle, and then I refused to unlock Resurrection. I was like, I don't need it. I got this. And then she proceeded to wipe the floor with me. And, it gets better. So she wipes the floor with me, and the 25% or the whatever percent chance that Phoenix would appear happens.
13.
Yeah,
And
13%
you can't
chance.
be resurrected.
Right. I threw my controller and broke it. I was so pissed.
I like beating all the bosses because there's a path that I think the guide tells you exactly which way to go to get them in sequential order, kind of the way they were meant to be beaten, but the way that you have to do the least amount of running. I mean, I always turn Ankh Nun on at this point because I hate the encounters in that castle. And Diablos has the encounter none ability, so I always use that. But there's a really quick way you can go through the whole castle, be all 9?
I think there's a bunch.
Yeah. The first one, obviously, right at the top of the staircase, they make him incredibly obvious. Unlock, I think I unlock magic at that point just so I can heal myself. Yeah. And then you go down into the basement, you fight the triad dragon thing in the wine cellar.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after that, they kind of just set you free. They say, okay, you can go find the rest now.
I wanted to.
Much.
I actually got really lucky when my little playthrough last night, when I fought 2 bosses and found Ultimecia's room and just fought her.
Same. I didn't mean to. I just ended up at a room, so I'm like, well, I'll just go beat the game.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened. Because I was going to fight them all. I mean, I came into this with the idea that I was like, why not just kill them all? But I didn't like switching parties because then I have to switch my junctions around, and I'm like, I don't want to do this crap.
Right.
So that was a big part of it.
One of the things that I did
do it so you can switch parties and then just move Diablos over to whoever the party leader is, turn on Ankh Nun, and then you just don't fight the boss. You just use that secondary party to open up gateways and levers and stuff.
So what I did is, before going into Ultimecia's castle, buy a bunch of amnesia greens, set up all 6 party members to have all the junctions that they need. So every stat, all the mainline stats, because evasion, speed, and luck and hit, not as big of a deal. But setting them up so that way they all have the commands they need and spread out the GF love. Everybody gets amnesia.
Well, that's
I
what you
also
got
got almost
for.
All the ultimate weapons. I only was missing Quittisus, and I didn't get Renoa's because I just didn't care enough to farm. I was trying to farm some of the items, and I just gave up and said, fuck it. This was taking too long. They wouldn't drop what I wanted, the energy crystals or something. I just could not get those to drop again.
Yeah, I'm going to now, but I just had to get through that last night.
Well, yeah, I mean, the day before the recording, you're like, yeah, I know how that goes. The funniest story I've had on the show is one of my previous co-hosts at the time. He beat Parasite Eve in a day because we used to record Sundays at 7 p.m. CS Central Time. So he woke up Sunday morning and just started playing Parasite Eve and beat the game 10 minutes before we recorded. So
nice. That's another great game.
Yeah, episode 25 or 24, somewhere around there on the show. Yeah. Long time ago. But yeah, it's a great game.
But yeah, but when it came down to Ultimecia's castle, especially because going into the battle against Ultimecia, you don't know what 3 party members you're getting.
Is it
random? Yeah, and if it's not my 3 that I want, I just let her kill them.
Yeah, I do too.
I get the 3 I want.
Right. But I was like, okay, let's avoid that altogether and just set everybody up proper. So
I just let her kill people.
And then the 3 I ended up with were Irving, Zell, and a Selfie. So I got the chicken wuss, the not sharpshooter, and the drug dealer.
When I first played this game, I thought Irving was a woman at first. I remember that. Like a brief moment.
Right.
Well, I was also younger and stupid, and because he had long hair and he had that purple shirt that looked like a bra. I'm like, oh, it's a woman. No, it's not. That's what my brain. I remember always thinking of
Final Fantasy androgyny.
I always loved Irving's limit breaks. He's one of my
favorites
because those limit breaks are so the speed ammo is so fun to use.
Yeah. Yes. And then the demolition ammo, it's a grenade launcher. You're just kadoosh. Kadoosh.
I only use it a little bit.
He's got status effect ammo. He's got the ultimate ones like the pulse ammo. That's the end limit break for him. I always thought he was a really useful character. I just
He
hated
really
him
is.
as a character.
Well, and his armor-piercing ammo is super good, especially in Ultimisia's Castle against Iron Giant or Red Giant because he has super high defense.
Yeah, I think that's the only way I could ever really get through his defense. At that point I unlocked the limit break ability, and I had a ton of AP ammo, and I think that's pretty much the only thing I could do against him at that point.
Yeah, like it shreds that boss. Like especially if you've taken any time to level up Irving's strength, it'll shred it.
Yeah,
like two shots of AP ammo and the fight's essentially done.
I don't know that I've ever.
It is odd that his strength should affect his attack.
Right?
Yeah.
It should be hit.
Does Lionheart do anything to him?
better.
No, Lionheart does not have armor piercing capability.
So if you go into that fight without AP ammo, you're pretty much screwed.
You have to rely on magic at that point.
You have to if you haven't unlocked magic at that point. But limit break is like one of the first things I unlock. Magic, item, and limit. I think is the.
So I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret. You ready? With battle assist, limit break is automatically unlocked.
Yep. You ain't got to do nothing.
I think I just didn't hardly ever use battle assist. I mean, I understand why a lot of people do, and I use it in 9 constantly.
Right.
I definitely needed it.
In 9,
I didn't need it. It was just it made it convenient.
Yeah.
You know, I can enjoy the game for the story.
Well, when I was a teenager and this game came out, I was using a Game Shark for the first time going through it, and I unlocked the debug room. And there was a way you could unlock all the cards, all the items, you could have a 100 of each magazine for whatever reason. And I remember the one thing it unlocked that I absolutely loved was the Apocalypse spell. Because the only person in the game who has the Apocalypse spell is the final form of Ultimisia. Once you get to that point, so even if you do Junction Apocalypse, it doesn't matter because you're done with fighting at that point. The game's beat, and it's an amazing spell.
Oh yeah, essentially max damage and status effects. Oh
yeah,
I did not know that.
It's fun to use. It maxes out everything with just 30 of them, so you can split them out across all 3. But obviously you can't get it without cheating your ass off.
Yep. Yep. I really wish that they would make the randomizer though for the console versions, because that would be incredibly fun. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the randomizers, but there's
I'm familiar with the concept. I didn't know it was there's a randomizer for 8. I'm assuming it's fan made.
Yeah, it's a fan made, but Square honestly should incorporate this because it adds more playability to the game. So there's a YouTube channel I watch, Primal Liquid. He's gone through the randomizers of most of the ones that have it. So 7, 8, 9, 10 has a randomizer. 8 has one of the best ones. It randomizes the spells that enemies carry, the bosses you fight, and all that. Like he fought Norg 6 times in that game. It was funny. It was funny.
Does it change the backdrop like the regular Norg fight, or was it the whatever area?
Whatever backdrop.
Okay, I got to see that.
Yeah, it's great. It's funny. You know, and eventually the running joke became that the stream was sponsored by Norg VPN.
Well, I can just picture going into the final battle of the game. You're in outer space. It's supposed to be Ultimisia's final form, but nope, it's Norg.
Right.
That would be funny.
Right. But yeah, I really wish that they would actually take time and incorporate the randomizer in it, because that would make it you could even offer it as a $10 DLC and it'd be worth it, because now you have a different experience every time.
That would be fun as hell to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but it's you can get Apocalypse though in the randomizer because it's open to all spells that are available in the game.
Wow, that must break your game then, big time.
You would think so, but when you get, when you end up getting Griever as a boss on disc 1, not so much.
On the Ifrit quest, you end up fighting Omega. Shit! I'm just gonna reload.
Right. These are always possibilities. At one point
on the computer.
At one point, one of his bosses was the 12 sorceresses on disc 2.
Oh my god!
And that's not a hard fight.
No,
but it's still
time consuming.
Right.
It's a cool fight. I like the idea that you're fighting all these sorcerers from the past.
Oh, when that came out, that fight was pure eye candy. I love that fight.
Great visuals.
They could have switched up the palettes a little bit on the sorceresses though, instead of just doing a color swap.
Yeah, they only had 3 models, really.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I would like to have seen 12 different models, and you fight them all one at a time, and they each have their own thing.
Yeah.
Like that would have made that fight way more intriguing.
Well, and the whole idea was that you were going through all of time fighting
Right.
all these sorceresses, so they could have even reused them because I mean, obviously Adele was the primary sorceress at one time. Fight her again.
Edea was the primary sorceress at one
Right.
point. Renoa, like that would have been funny to fight Renoa as Renoa.
Yeah, okay, that would have been, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's just the sleepy Renoa is just kind of stumbling.
right.
Slap fight with Molly Renoa.
Kind of like the Tifa Scarlet section in 7. They just had a slap fight
I remember that stupid fight.
on the top of a giant cannon.
After you just got dosed with poison gas. I'm ready for my Zyklon B slap fight.
I've lost that
Right.
fight before. I didn't know that was possible, but I somehow managed to do it.
Absolutely. But yeah, like I said, the randomizer would add a whole new element to the game, and like check out the streams. It's amazing. The 7 randomizer was funny. The 9 not so much. 9 was weird because it randomized the abilities you would learn on equipment as well.
Oh,
It wouldn't randomize the enemies themselves and where you fought them. It would randomize what they do, and it would randomize what your commands do too.
Huh. Okay.
So, like,
That's
for
interesting.
instance, you could cast attack, or you could use attack and on Vivi, and it would cast Firaga.
That's a little too much. That's
wouldn't
like
off
that.
the rails.
And we-
Well,
an
it's a little
attack.
too much if it's weak to fire,
Yeah, that's true.
It's an attack.
right? Or like you could use the magic command on Vivi, and it would have him use Cure or something. So
Anybody else, when they first played through this game, were you really surprised when Griever came out and used the shockwave attack?
Oh, Shockwave Pulsar. No, I was not surprised. I was surprised at Griever. I was not surprised at Shockwave Pulsar.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one,
they
I
all
saw
have
this
to have
attack and I was
things.
like, it reminded me of like Sephiroth's super long supernova. Like, oh
Yeah.
god, this is going to fuck me up so bad.
Settle in with a snack.
Right.
But one thing I noticed, once Ultimisia then junctions herself with Griever, right, and becomes like the third version of the boss. For some reason, in the remaster, she never uses Great Attractor. That one move where she like would have 3 planets crash into you.
The move that straight up murdered me, and then Phoenix showed up. Yeah.
I can never get her to use that in the remaster for some reason.
Yeah, she was a cakewalk in the remaster.
And I sit there and wait
Yeah.
for it, and it just never happened.
I mean, I know they changed some things in the remaster. They might have taken that one out.
Maybe they
Because
set what level you have to be at for that to trigger. I don't know.
I was at level 100 when I fought her though, and I
Did you
didn't
play the
see it.
PS1 version?
Yeah, I started on the PS1 version, beat that several times, beat the remaster several times. PS1 version, she did it every time. The remaster,
Yeah.
could never get her to do it.
They might have
Well,
changed it.
like I said, I know they made some quality of life changes, so that might have been one of them. The other one of the ones that I know they did was back in the PS1 version. Siren had to be level 100 in order to convert curse spikes into dark matter, and in this one, that's not the case. You just need to unlock tool refine.
Oh, I forgot about.
Yeah, that one took some time. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no memory of this, but I don't remember 8 very well.
10.
There were some items in the original that were just not worth the trial that it put you through. Dark matter was a big one. The ribbon, obviously, because who the hell had a pocket station? I mean, there were.
Right.
I would read the guide on how to get some of these items and just went, the hell with that. I'm not doing that.
Right.
and you
Well,
didn't even
especially because
get
they
the-
never released the pocket station in America.
Right.
So
Yeah,
why
you didn't
release a
get the-
game whose items are dependent on it?
Achievement.
How did
Right.
they do it in the remaster? They obviously don't make you use the pocket station anymore. There's
Angelo
different-
search.
That's right. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
Yep. So you have to be smart about it though, because there's 4 moves that Angelo can do in combat. Those are okay to learn, like when you use the combined limit break. Then there are 4 moves that Angelo will just show up and do. The only one of those that, if you're going to do Angelo search grinding, number 1, you cannot have Gilgamesh. Number 2, the only one of those moves that you want Renoa to know is Angelo search, because
That's right.
yeah, you just want to get into a battle and let that battle play out. Go to dinner, do whatever, let that battle play out. Because if you have Gilgamesh follows the same rules, that there's a 13% chance that he will show up on any given turn and just decimate. Like, Gilgamesh does not have to show up at the beginning of a battle.
I'm glad that was one thing they did think about, because I mean the ribbon is obviously an extremely coveted item,
Oh yeah.
and that was
I don't
that
like,
was
like that.
That was really odd that they did that. Even in the PS1 release, to need a peripheral to get that item, not a fan of that at all.
Right.
Especially for such an important item. If it was something that was just kind of like a bonus, whatever, even a second ribbon, yeah, sure,
Yeah, and
why
then
not?
to make that peripheral region lock.
Yeah,
Right. And so honestly, they should have taken that into account. If you're not going to release the Pocket Station in America, then come up with a different way to obtain those items.
yeah. Not only are we going to let the Pocket Station or the ribbon be accessible in America, we're going to make Marlboros the hardest they've ever been.
Right.
Sadists.
Not wrong. They were very annoying in this game.
Yeah, but you could win a Toyota.
Oh,
I always
I
loved
still wanted.
those ads, seeing them back in the day now. It's like, you just see these old ads, like,
I would have taken the Pocket Station over the damn Toyota.
Might be worth more at this point.
Right.
Collector's item.
Right.
I forgot about the Pocket Station. Did you? So, Isaiah, you probably did the Chocobo mini game then, right? Because you were doing everything in this game.
Yeah, the Chocobo Forest. Yeah.
I didn't. I went in there once to get a Chocobo to get to the Ragnarok, and that was it. I didn't do anything with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did. You have to do it in order to get the card because you need the Chocobo card, which you get from the last forest in order to get the Chubby Chocobo card.
Okay.
So through the Queen of Cards side quest. So yeah, I went and did that. I did the Obel Lake quest. That was always fun. Got the achievement for that one. Did the Windhill Vase, even though you really don't get much from it.
Okay.
Chubby Chocobo was a really good card. It refined into 100 Love G's. That's the item that
Yep.
gave you, I guess, how do you explain it? It made you more compatible with your GF, so they would summon quicker, stuff like that.
Yep.
That was a really good card to have.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's cool.
I just remember not wanting to do the Chocobo quests.
I mean, it could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been Chocobo Hot and Cold from 9.
Right.
That was a
Right.
nightmare.
Yeah, I didn't care for that one either.
20 Chocographs. Ugh.
9 is just not. 9 has issues. 9's a great game, but there's issues.
9 is a great game, but it definitely had its issues. So, but yeah, like the Chocobo quest in this one was not hard.
Okay.
So,
And then I think the only thing we haven't talked about yet, we should talk about the ending a little bit. Like, I know we were kind of touching on it earlier, how, like, the whole idea that some people think Squall is dead. I mean, some people think Renault is Ultimechia. Like, I like the ending personally. I think I'm kind of okay with Renault being Ultimechia. I'm okay with that concept. But, like, the idea that, you're in a time paradox. Like, that's kind of what it was. Like, you just kill Ultimechia, you're in the middle of nowhere in time, so it makes sense that he's in a desert area and then everything is flat.
and he has no face.
Yeah, because he's out of time.
Right.
So I'm okay with that concept.
It kind of gave you when they got off the lunatic Pandora, and time started to compress, it just showed you, hey, things are going to get weird.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the ending started with, that things just getting freaky and weird, and you really not knowing exactly what was happening.
Yeah, and Renault is trying to save him or find him or something of that nature.
And so they go through a bunch of different scenes in the game. The ball when he graduated, this outer space. But in this version, her helmet blows out and she dies for some reason.
Right. Whatever.
Yeah, that got dark.
Right.
I mean, not as dark as Squall's face being scooped out for some reason.
Right. But I mean, think about it this way too. There's always the quantum theories that like there's multiple universes and they're all dictated based on the choices we make. Whatever choice we make in one universe, there's a universe where we make the exact opposite choice. And so I could see the time compression and the decompressing acting in that same way, where our actions, like where some of our actions are then reflected upon. So like Renault's helmet blowing out, meaning Squall didn't go out to save her or wasn't there in time.
And the Ragnarok wasn't there.
Right. Right.
The Ragnarok just didn't show up this time.
Right, exactly. So, like there's that gives credence to that being a potentiality on that front.
Okay. Another random thing that I have to ask is Griever the GF that you fight in the end in the final boss fight, is that supposed to be his necklace or something to do with his necklace?
His ring.
His ring.
Okay.
Well, he also has a Griever necklace.
Oh, that's right, he does, yep. But he gives Renault the ring.
His gun blade as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
He has three things for Griever. He's got the ring, he's got the necklace, and he's got the charm on his gun blade. He gives Renault the ring. Well, he gives Zell the the ring, or no, he gives Renoa the ring. She holds on to it. Was supposed to give it to Zell.
Yeah.
And then he told her to hold on to it.
Okay.
And that's where that fan theory comes in, is somehow the ring becomes a GF because of her connection that she had with it.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Because
Again, I'm on board with the idea that she becomes Ultimechia in the future.
and it was interesting that you could name the ring, and then the GF Griever that you fight would later become the same name.
Oh, okay, that is cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember vaguely people mentioning it back in the day, and it's been so long I can't remember.
And I still do like the Renoa is Ultimecia theory, just because like now it's like, okay, Sid trained us to kill his wife, and then Squall kills his.
Or in some universe, he just doesn't save her. Same thing.
Right. Right.
So
He's just like, whatever.
you could basically go to the end of the fight, and Ultimisa would be like, "Behold, fart butts, the strongest GF."
Exactly, yep.
You're like, oh dang.
Yup.
Is that what young Nate did?
No, I didn't play
The
this
strongest
until I was like
GF.
in my 20s.
Oh, that just reminds me of what one of my buddies did for Final Fantasy VII. He named Eris dies. So like you get to the scene where Cloud is holding Eris after she's been turned into a kebab, and it's just like ... Eris dies.
Well, you've seen that meme where somebody named Cloud Gay 420 Gay, and then Eris, they named her Cool Ranch.
Yeah.
So it's just Cloud holding his body. Cool Ranch.
When I last played like OG FF7, I named Tifa Lady and Ares Sexy Lady. So
Oh,
it's
jeez.
just like that whole the end. Cloud is like sexy lady, and I'm
They
like,
made
it
it-
is heartbreaking. Yes,
They made a huge mistake letting players name the characters.
Right.
That's why they fixed it in 10. You can't name anybody. But
Because
Right.
they actually spoke their names.
There was
I
somebody
like-
in
Right.
Zelda-
Well, yeah, voice acting changed a lot.
I
of
don't
that.
like naming characters. I like it when the game just tells me this is their name. Fine. I don't want to name them. I just want to.
Yeah, I never changed that.
That's a
Well,
person.
it's because
somebody
us
in
as
Zelda
humans,
who named themselves Fuck Me, so they got to like a cavern.
Yeah.
Like, fuck me, it's called.
us as humans, we're always going to take naming things to a whole new level. Think back to like 2010 when Britain was allowing the public to vote on the name for for their new boat, and
Bodie
the
McBoatface.
the winning name was Bodie McBoatface. Like,
Or when a couple put their kid's name, or they asked the internet to put it to a poll, and it became Cthulhu Allspark.
right.
They actually named their kid.
Like at the end of the day, humans are going to be weird when we name shit.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, but yeah, I mean, I did like that touch though with being able to name Griever, and then that's actually reflected in the fight.
It really fit into that theory. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
too many things lined up for it not to be true. It really sucked when the devs said, "Nah, this isn't true."
And there is no real explanation.
They should have left it up to speculation, like they
Yeah.
did with the Squall is dead theory.
They're probably just making it better than their idea.
It's
Right.
also true.
Like, oh man, that would have been way better.
They went back to the office and they're like, write that down. FF8 remake.
Which there is talks of, apparently. Like after they're done with 7 remake, there's talks of an 8 remake.
Well, I
Will the
thought
world
9
still be
was
around in
nice.
2050 though?
Maybe.
I would rather have an FF8 remake than FF8.
I would rather have an FF6 remake.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair. Me too. But you don't need a remake. That's already perfect.
Or 4. 4 would be a cool one to remake.
4's had plenty of remakes.
The
Like,
DS
I mean,
remake, which
like-
I've never played.
I've never played the 3D 4DS, the 3D remake on
I-
the DS.
I need to play the PSP remake because I went and bought it, or whatever the hell, the PSP version with the extra stuff. I went and bought it
Yeah.
the day it came out, was all excited. I got to the part where you lose your equipment and have to use the wood equipment, and I just quit playing and never went back. So I hate
Still
that
play
part
it.
so much.
At least once every single year. That was my first RPG.
Well,
Had it
Wow.
on the app.
Great game. I need to one day play the After Years and all that, but it's too busy.
No, you don't.
Is it that bad?
It
I
was,
was just about to
I
say, no,
couldn't-
you don't.
I couldn't even finish it. FF4 became like my favorite Final Fantasy, and the After Years just is bad. Like,
Still, it's just one of those.
Yeah.
One time I told myself I was going to beat every Final Fantasy, and I was doing that at one time, but I'm
Well,
trying to go back to it. Like I'm
You
going to
have
try to
your
do them off at the
chance.
show slowly, very slowly.
In a few days, the Pixel remasters come out on console.
Yeah, but they're on Steam. That's good enough. I have a Steam Deck, so that's my
Yeah,
that's my
you have a
Nintendo.
Steam Deck. I don't. So.
They're worth it, by the way. Fucking worth
Oh, I
it.
believe it. I believe it.
I
Years
didn't
ago-
want. I wasn't going to buy one, and I was like, well, and then I finally I caved, and I freaking it is for because I use it for emulation. I use it for
Yeah.
all my Steam games, which I own a shit ton. Like, it is just great.
Yeah.
Years
So I'm
ago, I
assuming
had
that's what you
challenged
played Final
myself.
Fantasy VIII on?
Okay, yeah, you brought up a thing I almost forgot, so thank you. Yes, I did play it on that, but the one issue I had with it is for some reason on the Steam Deck, you can't, like normally with Steam Deck, you can, press the power button, put a game in sleep mode, everything's fine. With FF8, if it goes into sleep mode, the game will crash every time. 100% every
First
time.
world problems.
So, yeah, I know. I mean, so, like, what I used to do, like, I'd be playing it, and then if I had to do something else, I would then hit buttons on the screen and just make sure it didn't go into sleep mode until I could save. But,
Right.
like, I was really upset because I always put, I play my game, I'll put it in sleep mode first, do something else, but bring it back up, and I do it with every game, but you cannot do that with FF8 because it will crash on the Steam Deck. So you just have to kind of play it, like, where you actually have to save and quit. You can't just turn it off.
Right.
Like I wanted to, like, okay, I'll just put this down, I'll come back to it, later. Like, nope, you're not doing that in this game.
That's one of the things I loved about the PS5 is, and the Xbox Series X is putting things into sleep mode.
Yeah. I mean, I play Steam
Even
Deck
even the
all
Switch
time.
version let you do that.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm playing the first Assassin's Creed on Steam Deck, which was a pain in the ass, by the way, to get to work, because that game was not friendly, PC friendly. So,
No, it was not.
like, it didn't even recognize my controller setup. I had to literally go in the settings to change controller to get it to work. Like, you have to put 360 controller. I'm like, I'm not emulating this. I'm playing it on a freaking Steam Deck. Like, you think, like, I'm like, okay, whatever. But yeah,
Right.
it's just a weird.
But yeah, like I said, there is talks of an FF8 remake once they're done with the 7 remake. So who knows? Especially if they kind of give it the same treatment that they're doing with the 7 remake, where they're changing things up.
Making 3 games out of it.
Well, not just that, but like changing things up because like
We're getting 3 FF7 remakes, right?
right.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's already planned.
second one is due out later on this year. But
I
like,
don't
Rebirth.
yeah,
I don't
Allegedly.
care about 'em.
Allegedly,
the thing I like-
they're out this year.
yeah. The thing I like about the remake, though, and I kind of hope FF8 gets this treatment, is that it's a continuation of the series. It's not a remake of it; it's a continuation
But I
with
think,
some
like,
of the
this,
elements that you go through again.
this age of Final Fantasy, from say 6 to 10, or even 6 to 9, or 7 to 9, these 3 to 5 games have such a loyal built-in fan base that
Mhm.
they could make tons of money for. I mean, it's future proof. They could make all the money with remakes of those 3 to 5 games.
Right. Well, 6, 7, 10, and 8 for sure, probably in that order.
You don't think 9?
Like-
You don't think 9 deserves a little bit?
I think it does. Does the general public though?
I know a
is
lot of
weird. I
diehard
was
9
sad.
fans.
Isn't that there was the Nvidia leak and FF9 was like listed as being remade like with it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
9 deserves it.
But that
9
could have
is a
been
good
like,
game.
you remember back 10 years ago or so, for the PS3, they did a FF7 remake demo, and they never intended on remaking it at that point. It was just a demo to show off the PlayStation 3 hardware.
People freak
Yeah.
the fuck out.
Yeah, and
People like
Square
them
Enix
too
kept
much.
getting asked about it.
Yeah, they got pissed off at that one.
Well, I mean, that's to be expected, though. Like, you can't go and remake something that was so much important to so many people's lives and be like, yeah, we're not
That's-
actually doing that. We just wanted to make something cool for you.
That's
Right.
on the level. That's on the level of Konami like redoing MGS3 cutscenes, and then they're like pachinko machine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Fucking Konami.
Yeah.
Even when it's not about a Konami game, you still got to poke fun at Konami.
Somehow
Right.
they keep resurfacing into the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Hey, they're making games again.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see
I
how
know.
that SH2 remake is.
We'll see.
I don't have high hopes for it.
Still not going to be as fucked up as FF8's ending, though. Probably.
Probably. See, that's the thing. That I'm a big weirdo, and I super love just like how creepy and mysterious this ending is. Like,
Yes.
I know Parasite Eve is like JRPG horror. I just want a Final Fantasy game that takes like fucked up shit like FF8's ending and is just like, this is the whole game, man. Like,
Right. Right.
Terrifying.
That'd be awesome. And you don't even need to make it a mainline series.
you know,
Make it an
Well, they
offshoot.
don't do that. I mean, there are just tons of Final Fantasy.
Like, make it an offshoot. That's all you got. All you got to do, and it will sell.
I'd buy it. Hell yeah.
So
And
I
that's
know
my
we had
big-
talked. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, that's my big criticism of this game is like, they set up so many cool story threads, but really they're like, oh, but it's just a love story between Squall and Renoa. And the love story isn't even that interesting compared to like what you
Right.
get in 10. Like, I'm like, no, I'd much rather focus on this cool shit than two
Right.
characters I don't care
I
about.
like the love story in this game. I like maybe because I was like, I don't know. I guess I felt like I could compare myself to Squall, even though I don't really remember how I was back then. But I don't know. I like Squall a lot. And I also love Renoa. I still do this time.
Well,
I'm like, she's still just really like her.
Their story it evolved really well because when they first met, Squall and Renoa hated each other.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where Squall, basically ended it by saying, if you end up betraying the world, I'll be right there with you.
Yeah. That's the pinnacle. That's the climax of the love story. That's essentially where like it all comes to roost. So
I mean, really, it didn't evolve past that point. That was like Squall saying, "I'll leave everything I'm dedicated to if it comes to that."
I'll even not let you get frozen in carbonate so we can die together.
Right.
We'll die in space. I'll hold you as we run out of air. So that makes sense. Because I know you love me and you don't want me to have kids and have a happy life. No, you want me to die with you in space.
Well, I mean, she's the sorceress. She could have survived.
She survives and he dies. That's why she went crazy.
Right. This is just Ultimisia from a different time frame where Squall dies out in space.
She's like, "What the hell are you doing here, you dumbass?"
All right. I think we should. Any last things you guys want to say before we go on to questions, comments, or memories?
Well, I know we didn't. We touched on this in the beginning. We had it was mentioned about Cypher fishing, and I think we should probably touch on that for a little bit. Like,
you decided to do a fishy mini game?
Yeah. Well, for me, that was him finally getting what he wants. Like, he thought he wanted his romantic dream. Part of that was just that he was being manipulated. Because when it's all said and done, Cypher is backed by Fujin and Raijin through everything.
It was nice seeing the three of them together again.
Right.
At that point.
Right. And old Cypher, not
80s comedy, credits rolling quality to it.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That'd be a hell of a little mini web series.
But it kind of fits Cypher's character because he's fishing and he just looks pissed off about it. Like, God, I hate this. This is so boring. And then he just I think it was Raijin that caught a fish. And so he's like, fuck this shit. He throws his pole down. He's like, I'm done.
Right.
And then he gets kicked into the water and he's like, okay, I like fishing again.
Right. Because he's not the best at it. Like, that's like his thing is he always had to be the best. And that's what pushed his and Squall's rivalry. So Raijin kept him not catching the fish was that's his fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah. Then he gets kicked into the lake and he's happy again.
Right. Now it's because he's having fun.
Well, he got a bath. He felt better.
Right. The water washed all the anger away.
I don't think that's how that works, but sure, we'll go with it.
Right. I mean, it's the world of Final Fantasy.
So
I have a dumb lore question. Is Squall related to Laguna?
Yes.
Son.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not explicitly stated in the game. It is heavily implied, though. So when you have to kind of go through the series of events in Windhill and do massive conversations, but it's never explicitly stated in game.
I mean, it shows when Laguna at the end meets up with Rain, who was dead at that point, Squall's mother, because at first he was in love with Julia, was her name?
Julia,
I think it was?
Yeah, the singer.
Which turned out to be Renoa's mother. And yeah, they don't explicitly state any of this.
Okay.
But I never understood at the ending of the game, Laguna meets back up with Rain, who's dead. Is this just like in his mind? Is he like it's
in a time compressed world.
Right, okay. Or is Laguna dead now?
No, I don't think Laguna's dead. I think it was his last chance to say
to his happiest place.
Yeah. It was his chance to finally say goodbye to her, in my opinion. Because
I thought they just changed things.
No, because they're you can't change the past. That's one of the key elements on Disc 3 is that you can't change the past. And so the only way that Laguna could see Rain is in that time compression, which is kind of why he wanted to be on the Ragnarok, in my opinion.
It was pretty funny when he sees his dead wife and they look at each other and he just waves and then walks away. And she has to run back. What the hell? Where are you going?
He's like, I thought I got rid of you.
Yeah, so like we said, it's not explicitly stated, but it's pretty much canon that it's his father.
And after that point, they kind of just wrapped everything up with a bow. I mean, they have some celebration on the garden as it's flying away, and then everybody's eating. Zell's stuffing his face, and then post credits, you just see Squall and Renoa hanging out on the balcony.
Yep.
They kind of let you to believe that maybe Squall did die at that point, but then post credits obviously show up. No, he's fine.
Yep, he's fine.
I like that idea. Like, he shouldn't be dead. The only game where I like the theory that they're dead is Link is dead in Majora's Mask. I like that theory, but that's
I could see that one being accurate. The other theory I don't like is that Renoa is Squall's sister.
Oh God, I haven't heard
I haven't heard that one either.
Yeah, no. The theory is that the night that him and Julia spent together, he knocked her up. That Laguna and Julia spent together, that he knocked her up. Except when he went away to war, she when she met General Caraway, they weren't she was not pregnant. Like it was a year after that she finally gave birth to Renoa.
So they're half siblings.
No, not even.
Oh God. I don't like that at all.
Well, Ballamgard is kind of
that
an
theory only exists
Alabama
on fanfic.net.
Right.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm not okay with this theory either. So.
Yeah.
Right.
I wish I'd never heard that one.
I know, right? So do I. So do I. I'm the one who ended up researching more into it. Ugh.
All right. I think I'm going to misremember. So I got a few. I got a lot, actually. So I only posted in 2 groups. I didn't expect to get much, but I can't read everything, but I'll read what I can. From Firsty, I watched the entire Orblood Super Replay. I got a few. From Jonathan Ellis, I loved 8, and it's the only one where I felt the main character had real growth. The Squall vs. Cypher rivalry felt good. Sure, the time travel plot was a bit much, but I felt it was a better story than 7, and on par with 9. From Jordan Bays, it has unparalleled vibes. The world, soundtrack, and writing all lend everything to a slightly unsettling tone that I've always adored. From Nikki Scott, this is tied with FF7 for me. I love this game so much. And from Benjamin Johnson, could play Triple Triad alone for hours on end.
So, kind of going back to that first comment.
Yes.
You know, like it. Can you reread that one so I can break it down real quick?
I gotta go get back to it, but yes.
I'm making work for Mike.
From Jonathan Ellis, he said, the Squall vs. Cypher rivalry felt good. Sure, the time travel plot was a bit much, but I felt it was a better story than 7, and on par with 9.
Okay, so definitely it is one of the games that has the most main character growth, because you go from a stoic Squall who just is born to follow orders to a natural-born leader who genuinely cares about his friends and is now willing to express it. The rivalry, on point. Yes. They drove each other nuts in the beginning.
That rivalry was very interesting throughout the entire game. I mean, that, and I knew they kind of sold that in the trailers that these two were at odds with each other.
Yeah.
But the dichotomy between the two of them, it just played out perfectly. Even their looks, everything about those two was right on point.
Absolutely. And kind of going into the whole better than certain other games, it is definitely a better story than 7, in my opinion. 7's story does not really get good or super comprehensive until you factor in the supplemental material, Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus, Advent Children, etc. 8 gave you a complete story.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be perfectly happy if they never expanded on 8's story. It's just a standalone. This is what you get. It's fantastic by itself.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows when we actually will get more, so it could be. Yeah. We might never get that remake, which I'm okay with.
We might never, and I would be happy with that because we still got a great story in the game itself.
Yeah.
7's story was good. 8's story is great.
Yeah. 8 doesn't need any other movies or any other side games. It's just by itself, great game.
Right. Whereas 7 needed that to tell
20 years to release all the games for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, 7 needed all that supplemental material to bring information to light that you don't learn about in the main game.
Yeah, I agree. Right, and I'm going to read a few comments from RPG Sanctuary. This is where I got a fuck ton. I was like, wow. I had 76 people like my post, which never happened. So it was a ton of comments. I will read some of them. I won't be able to read all of them, but I'll read what I can. First from Jerome Castro. I grew up with FF8 rather than FF7, and I always felt great to play. The later always felt clunky to me, and I always identified with Squall over Cloud. I knew people like him, and back in the day, he had the same angst as I had. Gameplay-wise, I always loved the enemy scale with your level. The extra challenge at max level was super good.
See?
From Brandon Markison. Well, Squall is my video game husband, so I absolutely love 8. It's one of my favorite. From Greg Thomas. Was an impossible task following FF7. Yeah. From Zol Hakar, just an honest question: why do people hate it? I never played it, so I want to know why. The junction system.
I think that the battle system, the junction system, it was intimidating because there was so much to learn. I mean, it's hard to think back that far before you knew about this stuff, but there's a huge learning curve on 8.
It really is.
Oh yeah.
Whereas 7, you just equip this materia, you got the ability, level it up,
right.
and get another one.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Right. You came from an easier system with materia to a much more complex and customizable system with junctioning. And I really like that you have that complexity and the customizability of the junction system. And so that you got to figure back in the 90s, that turned a lot of people off. They wanted their games to be a little more simple. I think if FF8 came out now, it'd be a lot better received because we desire complexity in our video games a little bit more.
Yeah, but ironically now they would have watered down the junction system. It'd be too simple.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay. And
I mean, I just
you're
want to
good.
jump in. Like, I don't even think it's like a critical, like, because when this came out, it was like critically acclaimed. Like, a lot of reviewers loved this game. I think it was more just the expectations after 7, and then you get this weird story, and you got these weird systems, and I think that just turned a lot of people off from it.
Well, too many people fanboy over 7, to be honest.
They do.
And so that's where the hate comes from, because 8 wasn't 7.
But regardless of whether you liked 7, hated it, loved it, whatever, you can't deny the impact it had, because look at how often 8 is compared to 7.
Right.
Whereas we don't do that with a lot of other FF titles. When nobody compares 9 to 8, nobody compares 10 to 9.
Right.
It's always the one that followed 7. I think that just because it had such an impact, it was my first introduction into the series, and then I went back and played the older ones after that, but it was a hard act to follow.
It was definitely a tough act to follow. And like the 7's success was because it was on the PlayStation. It was this epic fantasy saga. And so that's what really drew a lot of people into it. And so that's why it was way more well received, because you're going from 2D sprites to 3D models. And then 8 just kind of deviated away from that with a more realistic look, a more realistic approach. And that turned a lot of people off that really loved 7.
And I am curious how many people are in the same boat that I'm in, where 7 was my intro into the series, 8 comes out, and you don't realize that each new iteration is a huge departure from the last one. They have nothing to do with each other.
No.
Yeah.
So that probably affected people too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people, their first introduction to Final Fantasy was 7 on PlayStation.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting a direct sequel, but I don't know if I was expecting like the battle system to be similar or anything like that. And it's not in hardly any of them.
Right.
No, but especially in 8. I mean, they always have some aspects, like 6 and 7. You still have magic in a way. It's just a little bit different how you get it. But 8 is such a different. You can, you can select your own. You customize everything, and that's so different. And there's no armor.
Right.
All that type of stuff. Even though 7 only had one armor, one weapon, in 8 you have a weapon that you can't buy. You have to upgrade, and you have no armor. You just junction spells. So it's just
all that magic you like to use. Don't fucking do it.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, and then this one from Paul Spittler. It's one of the only few I've never played. When it's on sale on Steam, I'm gonna grab it though. You should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely should. Absolutely. It's one of those games, if you like RPGs, and not just JRPGs, but RPGs in general, it's a great experience because you will be moved in different ways in the story.
All right. So from Amanda Suter, FF8 was my first RPG, and I fell in love with it immediately. I love the relationship between the characters. The plot was interesting to me and unique, and the soundtrack is one of my absolute favorites. The final boss dungeon is also so iconic. From Scott Peterson, 8 was the first RPG that I had played and is still my favorite. I am autistic, so I had a lot of the same social problems as Squall growing up, specifically, I hate that word. It was hard to make friends and relate to my peers. It was nice to have a protagonist that I could relate to. The game was definitely one of the most broken from a technical standpoint, but I love the story and characters. That's cool.
Absolutely. And it's awesome that we're seeing a lot of people who it was their first game. Because you always remember your first.
Mm-hmm. I think 6 or 4 of my first. I can't. Well, that's 2 or 3.
1 was my first on the original Nintendo. I'm showing my age, damn it.
Oof.
Like,
that was a tough one.
It was, especially when you didn't realize that you had to not only equip the gear but set the gear. Like, you set it and then equip it. So I had set my gear and never equipped it. Why is my fighter just still punching?
Yeah.
And then
6-year-old
also, when first time you roll into a pallet swapped ogre and it wipes the floor with you.
Right.
I think that when most people
why is this one pink?
When most people play Final Fantasy, they want a good plot. They want a good story. I think it's safe to say that that's probably one of the most important things when it comes to Final Fantasy games.
Yes.
If it's got a crap story, you're not gonna go through it. If it has a great story but a bad battle system, you might still go through it.
Yep. Story
so
story is always going to trump the mechanics.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at 6. Those graphics do not hold up.
I disagree.
Well, I mean,
We're fighting words, buddy.
I would love to have a remake of 6, but the sprite is dead.
Let me call back to what people said. Too many people fanboy over 7.
Yeah, but 6 is fanboy.
Hold on.
Hang on, I am a 6 fanboy through and through, and I'm sad I missed the recording on that one.
I played 6 for the first time at the end of 2020 on the SNES Classic, and that game blew my goddamn mind.
And it still
there's
does in
so many cool
2023 'cause
things
the
in
plot
there.
was so good.
So
Yeah.
I am a 6 fanboy through and through, and for me, 6 was the perfect pinnacle of storytelling. Would I like to see what they could do with maybe better graphics? Yeah. Don't touch the story though.
Exactly.
And another comment I'm going to read. Let's see here. Okay, from John Dolder. Love FF8. To me, the PS1/PS2 FFs were the golden age of the franchise.
I can agree with that.
Hard agree.
I do love the SNES stuff. But from Art Rady, it's my favorite Final Fantasy, and I love the draw system despite what anybody says. And also is one of the most surreal, borderline vaporwave RPGs ever made. Don't know what that means.
Yeah, me either. Again, the draw system kind of hit and miss at times, but like
It's
if you like it, you like it. That's cool.
All right, from Chris Tricky, the card game is the best minigame in any Final Fantasy. Hard agree.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
From Jordan Stanford, played at my cousin's house when I was 13, got to the train, never got past the train, never had the urge to play it again.
Oh, the train's not that bad.
No, it wasn't.
And that was early. That was
Right.
Yeah, that's very
so
early. From Chris Orlando, played through it twice, and I wasn't a fan. The characters and story were flat for me. The junction system was terrible, and the boosting of summons was just awful and took away too long, especially Eden.
I mean, the Eden point is definitely accurate.
Yes.
You know,
At least they played through it twice. At that
right,
point,
right.
I can respect that opinion. If you don't like it, you tried it, you try it again. It's obviously not for you.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Because
Yeah.
like it's hard to criticize something and have it taken seriously when you don't give it an honest try. But if you give it 2 tries and you still feel that same way, then you know what? I will respect your criticism and I will defend your right to criticize it.
Great. From Play S, I hated it when it first came out because it was so different. Still not a fan of the junction system, but okay, I get it. Story-wise, the journey was admitted fun. The destination was a letdown for sure. And from Jonathan Solis, it's my least favorite from the Final Fantasy classics.
Oh no, see that's for me 8 is one of my most favorites. I would have to say my least favorite at this point would be maybe 3.
I've never played 3.
3 was a rough ride.
That's the only.
Yeah.
That's one of the.
So was 2.
Yep.
I've beaten 2. 3 is the only classic one I've never played or really played. It's on my someday. But I'm just gonna read a couple more because I need to wrap up this episode. From Matt Ensel, my favorite story in all the FF series. Absolutely love the Academy training elite fighters setup. From Mark Radovan, I started fresh in the remaster, went card mod method, and refined as much magic as possible. Story is super chill. It has its flaws, but so does every game, having fun where it could be found. From Ben
Agreed.
Hilgeman, love it. Unique among Final Fantasy games, underrated. And let's see, I'm going to read one more. Okay, here's my last one. From Fritz Cabero, best soundtrack of all FF series.
Again, that's one of the points that we constantly need to just touch on is Noboru Uematsu's work on the soundtrack was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's really good.
It was fantastic.
Yep. And don't get he gets better as he goes, but like the fit and finish of it and the way it meshed with the art style and the story was just A1, A+.
So what's everybody's favorite track?
I have no idea. I don't listen to. I don't know music as well. I don't,
That's a
Mine-
tough one.
Mine would have to be the Delet mission when you beach on the boat, that military invasion section. I don't know what the soundtrack's called, but that section, that was my favorite song.
Mine's
I'm going to
still-
say Shuffle or Bouquet for me. Hard music.
I've got the soundtrack list pulled up and it's long.
I don't know. I just love that card music. I'm actually playing it right now. It's
Right.
so good.
I would have. I mean,
Yeah, put this
I would have to go back and say Succession of Witches. Like that is like to be. It fit the scene so well.
That's what I was gonna say. Is Succession of Witches is just it's top notch music.
Right.
All right, we should go on to shelf stacker box. Shelf being something you really like, stack being something you like but not as much, box being something you dislike, just to kind of state that. I do have a couple new people on here, and I'll go first. I'm going to put this on the shelf. I had a great time playing this game. I put 20 hours in thanks to ×3 speed and the battle assist mode. I had a great time. I really enjoyed this game, and I was able just to absorb the story. I enjoyed the mechanics. I had a lot more fun than I expected going into this game. I thought I was going to we'll see. But I completely enjoyed myself. So definitely on the shelf, and I'm so happy I finally replayed it. And what about you, Nate?
It is going to go on the shelf as well. When I first played it, I hated it. I'll be honest. I was on board until the orphanage reveal, and then that just really soured my opinion. Replaying it, there are some really cool scenes which we've talked about here, and the music is good. So it's not the worst Final Fantasy, but
oh god,
yeah, it doesn't rank up there for me.
That's like 13, right? That's your least favorite, right?
No, I love 13.
I know you do.
13's awesome.
Okay, and what about you, Isaiah?
It definitely goes on the shelf. Like it's one of the quintessential games of my teenage years, and like even just the recent replay for this episode, like it brings back nostalgia to a time where there was less issues that we now have to face as adults, where you can just lose your mind into it and feel like a kid again. The combination of gameplay, story, music, like it is hands down one of the best games of the 90s.
All right. And what about you, Adam?
Definitely shelf. This is one of those games where I have bought multiple copies of. Actually, I have the original PS1 on my shelf. I've bought the remaster on Steam. I have the FF8 double pack on Switch. If it's a game that I like that much that I'm going to buy multiple copies of, it's forever on the shelf for me.
Oh, I've bought multiple copies too. So,
All right.
And if you have the black label, put it in a case on your shelf.
yeah.
And Nate,
With a shrine.
we have breaking news from Nate.
Breaking news. I'm dumb, and I meant to say stack, not shelf.
All right.
That'll be flat. That requires self-flagellation.
Too late. It's on your shelf.
No.
All right. And what about you, Brock?
I'm going to say definitely shelf. One, you said nostalgia, definitely. I can always go back to that one. I can't wait to have my kids play it, and I am not going to help them during the propagator part.
Absolutely. But I mean, now that you know that they'll eventually get through it no matter what.
Yeah, it's not as bad.
I'm just not going to let them save. Why not?
You gotta play this in one sitting.
Permadeath.
And don't you dare turn off your Steam Deck, or your game is corrupted.
Sorry, there's no memory card.
That's evil. I love it.
Funny story, I did that with Crisis Core all the way to the end.
Oh, God. Because you didn't want to buy the Sony-only memory stick for $50 at the time? What?
No.
That was a dumb decision on their part.
I got all the way to the end, and my battery died when I was fighting Sephiroth, and I sold my PSP the next day.
I just love that much. I got rid of the whole damn thing.
Yep, I was done.
Wow.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Sad, but funny. The funny part is selling it. I get it completely. I'd be pissed too.
Right?
GIF of Ron Swanson just throwing out the computer.
Well, fuck you.
It's pretty close to that.
All right. And I do want to mention what we're talking about next week. Next week, you can hear us talk about Shadow Complex, a much smaller game.
Another
So that
game
will be
about time.
That will be on the episode. That will be next week's episode. And if you enjoyed this episode, we have covered a few other Final Fantasies, so go check in the catalog. Not very many, but we've done a few. So you can find everything we do on Podbean. There's over 450 other episodes of this podcast. You can just go on Podbean, on our website on Podbean, and search. Type in a name, game, comic, you never know. We might have covered it. Movies, we do all sorts of stuff. So there's lots of content there to dig into. And I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Hasfree. You can follow her on TikTok. And if you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon. You'll see a link in the show notes to that. As a little dollar, you can vote in our Patreon polls. Currently, poll is Tim Curry movies Mike has never seen and some recovered episodes that we did. I'm redoing some old episodes, some old games. So definitely go look in there. You can vote for as little as $1. And I also want to give a shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, who started his own podcast, Gamer Looks at 40. Definitely go check him out. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. And we do have a Discord link to join us Discord in the show. And I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Time. It does not wait.
Time compression.